Hey guys, how are you all? Welcome back to my channel. Today we will see what if Naruto becomes a god council bashing. If you enjoy then please like, share and do comments. The boy will be named Naruto, and the girl Reina, Namikaze Minato said to the Jonin holding his new twins. Naruto had yellow hair and blue eyes, while Reina had the trademark Uzumaki deep red straight hair and emerald green eyes. Both were looking around with interest, noticing everything even though they were just minutes old. It disconcerted Minato, actually, as he took them from the Jonin who flashed away and set them down on the cradle he had made for this. He heard Kushina's scream, and a roar that he'd know anywhere. Oh shit, he thought, turning to see the nine-tailed fox coalesce in mid-air above Kushina's broken seal. She had passed out from the pain of the forced release. The Kyuubi cackled, looking down at her, and they heard a demonic voice say in their heads, "We'll leave you alive to see the destruction of your home." As it jumped away, Minato was alerted to a presence behind him. As he turned, he was forced to whip his head back, dodging a long kunai thrown by a masked man with a Sharingan. The figure hummed, "Well, you're a lot less noble than I thought. You dodged at the cost of your child." Minato paled, spinning around to see the kunai sticking into Naruto's chest, right below his heart. The boy in question had passed out from pain. Minato cried out, "Naruto," and flashed to his side. He could see that the kunai wasn't a deadly blow, but there was a strange aura around the blade, one that seemed to be stopping the bleeding. He grabbed both his kids and Kushina, before using Flying Raijin to teleport to the hospital. As he handed them over, the nine-tailed fox was seen in the distance, approaching Konoha. With a heavy heart, he turned, resolute. He turned to his daughter, "I'm so sorry Reina, but I had to do this." For Konoha, he picked her up, and teleported away, appearing in a clearing approximately 800 feet from the nine-tailed fox. Setting Reina down, he created a shadow clone, then pulled out a sealing scroll, something that stored a seal until the maker wanted to use it, and activated it. Sealing Jutsu. 8 trigram seal. His hands lit up with a red aura. Placing one on Reina's chest, his clone teleported onto Nine Tails itself, touching it with the other hand. With a roar of rage, the great demon, the great Kyuubi no Kitsune was drawn into the chest of a newborn girl. Exhausted from sealing the Kyuubi's chakra, Minato flashed both of them back to the hospital where his wife and son were. As he appeared, Reina in his arm, Kushina saw the seal on her chest. "Minato, did you seal it?" she asked quietly, in a tone that promised pain. "I had no choice," Minato said grimly. All of the shinobi in Konoha working together couldn't beat the Kyuubi. It was this or the destruction of the village. At least this way we can have Reina seen as a hero. Tsunade, she hadn't left the village yet, interrupted them with a quick tap on Minato's shoulder. "Minato, there's something you need to know about your son." "What?" both Minato and Kushina said quickly. "What happened?" The legendary medic hung her head. The kunai was poisoned, not with a deadly poison, but one that corroded the chakra network. It pierced the 8th gate, destroying his chakra network. "Your son will never be able to use chakra, barring a miracle." Minato just stood there, uncomprehending as Kushina burst into tears. "In fact, I recommend not claiming him, even pushing him away if need be. Since he has no way to protect himself, if word gets out that he's your son, one of your many enemies would no doubt attempt to capture him and use him against you. I know it might hurt him and you, but it's for his own good," Tsunade said quietly. "Besides, you'll need to teach Reina how to control the Kyuubi's chakra." At Minato's surprised breath, she snorted, "I can see the seal." Kushina didn't hear any of that. One statement was bouncing around in her head. "I know it might hurt him and you, but it's for his own good." She furiously dried her tears. "Minato, we have to do it that way. I can get him listed as an orphan, but you need to make sure he's kept away from anyone who might tell him. Even if they have to be physical." Minato nodded sadly. "Very well." His mind started making plans to keep his son alive, even away from them. At that moment, Minato Namikaze and Kushina Uzumaki destroyed the child known as only Naruto, not knowing that he was unusual. His mind was astonishingly developed, and he could remember who his parents were, not that he could understand them. That day marked the beginning of the end. Naruto ran into an alley, trying to avoid the people following him. Although he had been disowned and kept away from the Namikaze Uzumaki family, he was still known as a person born on the night of the Kyuubi attack, leading many to think he was the demon itself. The whisker marks, actually scars caused by a Jonin when he was 2, were even more proof of his demonic heritage. The mob of people chasing him didn't care about that, however. To them, it was punching bag. Attack. At 6 years of age, Naruto could read, write, speak, manipulate his chakra without any formal training, and even use some jutsu, although he never did any of that when any of the Anbu assigned to watch him were around. He knew his chakra network had supposedly been destroyed, but somehow he could still use jutsu. In fact, he never had any drain when he used a jutsu. The only thing he could assume was that Tsunade made a mistake or some such thing. He had been planning for a long time to leave the village. He had created a pathway underground from his apartment basement to a spot approximately 50 miles from the village using earth jutsu and his seemingly unending chakra reserves. Thanks to that, he could also use earth jutsu to pull himself along while just sitting or reading or such. Today was the day he escaped this hellhole once and for all. He knew of his heritage, his parents and sister. He had perfect memory from the moment he was born, up till this point. He knew that he was born by the woman with red hair and man with yellow. His sister was like a mini Kushina, and seemed to hate him. Their parents hadn't told her why, but told her to avoid and push him away, leading to her hatred of him. After all, her parents wouldn't do anything wrong, right? Snorting, he ducked into a crack in the wall, entering the basement and slinging on a pack. Since he was leaving, he had made sure to leave a present for everyone who bullied him or abused him. Each had a ceiling tag filled with a fraction of all the urine he put out. He had actually collected it each time he used the restroom, seeing as it made a good weapon and diversionary tactic. Now he would use it to cover the Namikaze Uzumaki compound in literally a few tons of shit. Slowly he looked around at the small room, before smirking and making a hand gesture, starting the slow-burning explosive tags that were liberally applied to his house as he jumped into the tunnel. About 30 seconds and 500 feet later, he heard the explosion through the tunnel, collapsing the end like nothing ever existed there, the tunnel's ceiling as it propelled him onwards. Now, away from any prying eyes or listening ears, he broke down crying at the unfairness of his life, at the beatings of the civilians, at the hatred of his sister, at the cold eyes of his parents, who had turned from, "It's for his own good," to, "I've always pushed him away, I have to continue even though I don't remember why. He's not ever going to be my son." As his tears slowed, then stopped, he raised his head, cold visage showing nothing but contempt for his past family. "I will return, and when I do, Konoha will pay for all the shit I had to put up with," he swore coldly. His promise made, he fell asleep, saving energy for the next day. How could he know that that would be the day his world changed? The next day, he crawled out of a hole in a hill. He was on top of a large hill, probably about 500 feet above the rest of the forest. To his left was a large face of rock, with a strange insignia on it. When he had first found it, on one of his many trips out of the village, he had felt attracted to it, a feeling of recognition. As he approached it, he reached out, tracing it, before noticing a new feature. In the center of the concentric rings was a glimmering hole, about the size of a finger, with light coming from it. Curious, he stuck a finger in. With a burst of energy, he was flung away from the rock, eyes suddenly on fire. It was like someone was stabbing them with a hot kunai, a pain he remembered well from his 4th birthday. He screamed for a long time, a seeming eternity of pain as his eyes changed at the genetic level. When he opened them, the pain ended, the world had changed. He could see faint strings of light flowing through the air, through him, through the wall, and through the ground. Amazed, he reached out, touching one of the airborne lights, pushing it forward a bit. Then he heard it, a grinding sound, as if someone was pushing a heavy stone. Turning back to the rock, he saw it moving, splitting down the center and opening as a door. Inside was a dark room with a book on a desk, with a skeleton sitting at it on an old chair. Curious, he advanced, senses out to find any traps. Finding none, he reached the book, touching it carefully. The second his finger reached the page, the doors swung shut, leaving him in the cave. It was dark, no source of light existed, but he could still see. There were strings of light circling the skeleton. "It's chakra," he breathed, "I can see chakra." He looked down at the book and gasped again. It was a last message, left by the skeleton. "If you are reading this, you have both my congratulations and deepest sympathies. Your life has not been an easy one. My name is Hagoromo Otsutsuki, though most know me as the Sage of Six Paths, and the human incarnation of the 10-tailed demon god, the progenitor of this world. And you, if you are reading this, are my heir. My apologies, I should probably explain that. While many people believe I sealed the Jubi inside me, I am the Jubi in human form. The Jubi's power is too great for a human to contain, so I absorbed its essence, becoming the Jubi itself in a human body. Before I die, I intend to split this power up, so that nobody I judge unworthy can possess it after me. I have already decided to split it into 10 parts, plus its original body. 45% of it will be split into 9 parts, the body will be put into orbit by the power of my eyes, and the remainder will be sealed in this cave with me to slowly regain the lost 45% of its power over time. I have foreseen this, and you are now my successor and heir. I am sorry for tricking you like this, but you have inherited my eyes now, and the only way out of this cave is through becoming the Jubi. Jutsu will not work, and the cave is stronger than chakra-imbued diamond, in order to ensure this. Again, I am very sorry. The reason for this is plain. The Jubi is a force of nature, without it the world will slowly begin to fall apart, slowly degrading into chaos and destruction. If you are reading this, the process has begun and the only way to stop it is to make a new Jubi. I tried to ensure that the one who would change was someone whose life had gone badly, a way of helping them if you will. I give you, my heir, my eyes, my power, and the Jubi, who rests in the gem at the back of this cave. To absorb it, you must swallow it, releasing the seal. I will be watching you. I was too old when I became the Jubi and did not get a full fusion. You will achieve it, the immortality, knowledge, and power of the Jubi will be yours. Now, my last gift to you. The last will and testament if you wish, is sealed in the back of this book with a chakra seal which only the Jubi's chakra will open. I wish you well. Oh, and one last thing. Becoming the Jubi doesn't mean you can't get revenge on those that made your life hell. In fact, I believe it would do good to show your power off. According to what I saw, the best thing for you to do would be train with the Jubi's power first, return once it is mastered. I wish you good luck and success in your endeavors. It's your nindo to never give up, right, Naruto? Hagoromo Otsutsuki, the Sage of Six Paths, Shodai Jubi. P.S. I hereby adopt you as my descendant and, should you choose to use it, give you my name to use as your own. The rest of the book was blank, other than an intricate seal on the back cover. Naruto blinked twice, struck dumb, then his new eyes rolled up in his head and he passed out. Back in Konoha, Uzumaki Namikaze Minato was in a frenzy. After literally tons of poop covering clan buildings, he had learned that they were caused by his son. A son, might he add, that had apparently died. His apartment building had exploded and burned down, any body that might have existed incinerated completely. Currently Kushina was at the compound crying her eyes out while Uchiha Makoto was trying to comfort her, being one of the few people that knew who Naruto was. The door banged open, revealing an Anbu wearing a dog mask. Hokage-sama, the demon brat might not be dead. Minato ground his teeth silently. How he wanted to tell them the truth and watch their heads explode, but as long as his son might be alive, he couldn't chance it, at least until his plan was complete. What do you mean? He asked slowly. We discovered a collapsed tunnel under his house. The end is out of sight. We estimate over 40 miles. Just how he made it is unknown, but it is too regular to be hand-dug. I would like to lead a team of Anbu down it to find the brat and finish the job. Dog said. Minato slowly let out killing intent, increasing it slowly, Kakashi. I will let you take Anbu to find him, but he is to be returned alive and unharmed. He yelled, if you can't find him, at least make sure you get his scent so you can trace him in the future. If I think you have harmed him, I will turn you over to Ibiki. Understand? Kakashi paled. Hi Hokage-sama. As the Cyclops ran out of the room, Minato sat down heavily. What did he mean a 40-mile tunnel? Naruto had no chakra network, right? And it's not like he could use any other kind of energy, right? Slowly he began to sob, crying for his unclaimed son, the way they treated him, and most especially how he no doubt hated them after the years of neglect. If Kakashi found him, Minato would claim him. No matter the danger, he wouldn't let his son away from him like that. He didn't want his son to become a Konoha-hating shell. He could only hope it wasn't already too late. Naruto woke up slowly, rubbing his eyes. Man, what hit me? He moaned as he picked himself at the floor. As he looked around slowly, Naruto frowned. Well shit. It was real. Something had shifted while he was unconscious. He was somehow more understanding of the situation. While it was still crazy and unbelievable, he was able to get that it wasn't a joke or hallucination. Now he just had to accept that he would be changing. Slowly he walked deeper into the cave, the chakra in the air lighting the way. At the back of the cave was a stone pedestal, a circular green gem, approximately a half-inch around. Seems smaller than I expected. He reached out, taking the gem from where it had sat, and raising it to his face. Well, here goes nothing. I hope. Nervously, he reached out and put the gem in his mouth, and swallowed. Of course, he didn't ever think of the transformation, or the pain that would follow it. The instant he swallowed, his body fell to the ground in agony. Slowly, starting at his feet, it was disintegrating, changing from matter to chakra. The process was slow and painful, and once it reached his heart, he passed out. Everywhere around the elemental nations, every shinobi froze for a minute, everybody with any sense for chakra. They didn't sense something, per se, but they knew something changed. There was something different, something had been changed around the world. All of the Biju inside humans were starting to rage, smashing at their seals and yelling about how they needed to get out, until to each one a figure appeared, instinctively calming them quickly and greeting them with some instructions. Minato had no clue what that wave had been, only that Reina had burst into his office then curled up on the floor, screaming about the Kyuubi trying to break out. When they had calmed her down after an hour or so of unconsciousness, they found out the full story, and that her unconsciousness was caused by the Kyuubi. Flashback. Inside Reina, the Kyuubi had sensed the wave too. Impossible as it was for the Jubi to return, he knew what it meant. The new Jubi would be the lord of the Biju, he couldn't stay in this girl. As powerful as he was, the Jubi was a literal god, and far beyond his pitiful power. He, as with all of the Biju, was drawn to serve him. After all 9 Biju were merely offshoots of the Jubi, their lord. Roaring, he slammed himself against the cage, forcing his chakra out regardless of the pain. He didn't fully release the seal, but it did change something, as Reina was forcibly drawn into the mindscape. In Reina's mindscape, a hooded and cloaked figure, with a face obscured by shadows appeared as well. The Kyuubi froze at that, the figure's shadow being that of the Jubi, the 10-tailed demon god. Kyuubi bowed to the figure, who raised his pale hand. Kyuubi. I am sorry, but I need you to settle down. I have use of this girl, and I need her to stay alive. You do not need to work with her, but keep her alive and intact for me. Do not tell her about any of this, or what that wave was. Finally, if you ever sense my chakra from anyone, do not inform anybody of it. I will return eventually to free you. Do you understand, Kyuubi? The Kyuubi nodded subserviently, irritated but understanding. Please, my lord, call me Kurama. It shall be as you say. The figure then turned to Reina, who had stood frozen during this exchange. Girl. I have something you need to learn. Ask your parents about the boy without a chakra network. They will understand what I mean. Tell them the boy in question disintegrated as I watched. I will see you again, eventually. He vanished in a swirl of darkness, leaving a humbled Kyuubi and confused Reina. Flashback end. Minato froze as he heard what the figure said. Are you absolutely sure that the person said that? He asked in a whisper. Yes. Who is it, anyway? Reina asked, confused. Without a word, Minato channeled chakra into an emergency seal, reverse summoning Kushina from their house. Minato? Wa? Kushina. There's been a lead, and a problem, Minato said. Reina, please tell your mother what happened. Reina did so, not understanding. As she heard the figure's words, Kushina burst into heaving sobs. No. She yelled, as tears streamed down her face. Please no. Reina was shocked and scared by this sudden display of emotions. After all, she was only 6. Mom, who is this guy? She yelled, why are you crying so much? Kushina growled, I don't know, but I'm going to kill him. He killed family. What? Reina said, confused. Sweetie, you had a twin. Naruto was your twin, but he had no chakra network. Because of that, we couldn't claim him. He would have no way to protect himself from our enemies. We shunned him, but apparently he knew he was related to us. He ran away 2 days ago, after destroying his house. Now this person is saying he's dead. There's no way for Iwa to know who he was this quickly, so he had to kill him. Minato said sadly, then angrily. Did you see his face? What did he look like, and what was his voice? Reina shook from the realization that the boy she had tormented so much was in fact related to her. Oni-san. She breathed, it can't be. Reina. Minato snapped, we can talk about that when we get home. For now I need to know everything I can about the person who killed your brother. He's ruined my plans. Reina glared at him. I didn't see his face. His voice was male but high, and he was short, maybe 5 feet tall. His voice sounded like a kid, actually, but no kid could command the Kyuubi. Minato considered this. She's right, he thought. Anyone able to control the Kyuubi, worse, anyone the Kyuubi acknowledges as its lord, is a big problem. We need to find this guy and kill him or capture him fast. Alright Reina. Was the Kyuubi angry or anything when he appeared? Was he put under this man's control, or did he obey on his own? Minato asked cautiously. Kyuubi, will you work with me for once and tell them? Reina thought quickly. Yes, just this once. After all, I have my orders to keep you alive, and if you try to hurt him, you'll die. Create a cage bunshin with my chakra, so I can talk directly. Kurama said, feeding her a small amount of chakra. The Kyuubi wants to tell you himself, Reina said, Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. With a burst of red smoke, rather than the normal gray, a miniature 9-tailed fox appeared. Calm yourself Minato, Kushina. It began, I mean you no harm at the moment. In fact, as much as I hate it, I have been ordered to protect your daughter. Much as it galls me. Who was that figure, and why did you call him your lord? Kushina demanded, what do you know about him? Kurama chuckled nastily, that, girl, was my lord, Jubi-sama. The almighty demon god. I do not know him personally, but every demon knows his chakra. That wave you felt was the crowning of a new lord, the last being the sage of 6 paths, my father. As to what I know about him, basically nothing. He isn't human anymore, and I wouldn't tell you if I did know. One tip though, if he killed your son, it's useless to try to take revenge. My power is the greatest of the Biju, but he could destroy all 9 of us together. And I mean kill us, not just temporarily disperse us. All 9 Biju have our tails, but 1 tail for us is less than 1% of his total power, despite him only having 10 visible tails. Altogether we make less than half of his power. Of course, Kurama knew what the figure meant by disintegrated, as that was how the Jubi was born, but he wasn't going to betray his lord, or help these people. He had to keep the girl alive, that was all. Minato and the others were doing an impression of a fish out of water, gaping widely, but. I have orders not to tell you who he is and I will not help your daughter if she chooses to fight him. Now goodbye. Kurama's clone dispersed, leaving red smoke and a very conflicted, scared group of people. The god-human in question was laying on the stone floor of the cave. His mind had gone on a romp through each of the Jinchuriki, drawn to their Biju while his body was building back up. It took a while for it to completely disintegrate, then form into chakra, then form that chakra back into a solid form. But now the process was complete. Slowly he stood up, ice-blue eyes with blood-red rings and Tomo, the Rinnegan's colors unique for each Jubi, opened as he looked at himself. He was wildly different, approximately 5 feet 8 inches, with a slender body and yellow, spiky hair with red tips. He had some oddities, his hands looked vaguely like claws, and his teeth were pointed. Oh, and he had horns. Small ones, but horns nonetheless. Well, this is interesting, he said in his new deep voice. Let's see about that seal. He moved towards the journal, picking it up again and flipping to the back seal. Slowly he channeled chakra into it, and it was like lightning struck him. A consciousness touched his, the consciousness of the sage of 6 paths. Naruto, I have my final gifts to you, my memory and knowledge. Use them as the Nidaime Jubi. With that, a link extended from the alien consciousness into his, pouring memories, knowledge and skills not his own into his mind. They were sealed away strangely, suppressed below his so as to not change him. After all, we are the sum of our memories. They would be accessible, but not on the surface. Naruto was amazed at the wealth of information flowing through him. Some of the things were thought to be impossible, such as how to create items from the ambient chakra in the air, solidifying it. As it funneled knowledge into him, the consciousness slowly shrank, fading into oblivion. The last words the sage gave him were a very big help, Naruto. As the Jubi, your natural chakra is beyond any simple Biju or ninja. When you use it, it's like blasting huge fire jutsu into the sky. Here I am, come find me. I am putting a seal on it to suppress the signal to nearly nothing, but you must be careful. Any Jinchuriki allied with their Biju can sense you no matter what seal you have. Finally, speaking of seals, I can sense your fears about becoming sealed like a Biju. Don't be afraid of that, as the Jubi and infinite chakra. No seals will stick to you or affect you if you don't wish them to. You would simply overload them, destroying whatever you were sealed in and be reborn. You can put your own on, but nobody can force them on you. Now, I must go. I have cheated the Shinigami for too long. Goodbye my heir. I take you as Naruto Otsutsuki, my son. Do me proud. As he finished, the sage vanished, embarking on the final journey into the realms of death. Naruto smiled, tears coursing from his unique eyes as he saw the past through the sage's memories, whispering, "Thank you, father." In Konoha, Minato and Kushina both froze, a feeling of sadness filling them. They didn't know what it was, but something had changed about their son. Time skipped 2 years. Naruto was walking on the road into Kumogakure. Over the last 2 years, he had done many things, been an assassin, a mercenary, met with Pain and Itachi, who helped him train and locate the Biju, and now started to take the Biju from their respective villages, bringing them to Kumo since it was one of 2 places that treated them like humans. The other, Konoha, was out for obvious reasons, and because they didn't actually treat the Biju like humans, they treated the container as a human but still hated the Biju itself. Accompanying him were the Biju of Iwagakure, Roshi and Han. All of the Biju could recognize when he was close, and would even fight their own hosts if he wanted it. "So, Jubi-sama, why Kumo of all places?" Roshi asked. "Because it doesn't treat Jinchuriki like tools. You get to be your own people. Plus I am an unofficial shinobi of Kumo, and the Raikage owes me a few favors, so even if he was to not want more Jinchuriki he wouldn't refuse," Naruto said. Even though all of the Jinchuriki, other than Reina, knew his name, they called him Jubi-sama unless ordered otherwise. Over the past 2 years, he had taken the Jinchuriki of Taki, Fu, of Kiri, the Sanbi, who actually had to be freed from his host due to his host being under control of a genjutsu for so long he was insane, and the Rokubi's host, Utakata, and the Ichibi from Suna, whose Jinchuriki he had helped fix his seal. Now he was escorting the 2 from Iwagakure, Roshi and Han. B and Yugito were already in Kumo. Of course, the villages didn't usually like him taking their weapons, and tried to stop him. That didn't end well. In Iwagakure, the Tsuchikage himself had tried to stop Naruto, who the bingo book listed as the Shadow Walker, even though it had no description of him or his skills, beyond using blasts of energy to vaporize attackers and instant regeneration, and gotten seriously wounded. Surprisingly, the old man lived. You see, after leaving the cave he had become the Jubi-in. He had waited a while, practicing his powers in the Land of Lightning, and joined a company as an assassin, although it was more of a, if he wasn't busy and the payoff was good enough he'd do the job, but after a while of that he had headed to Kumo on a rumor of how they acted to Biju. When he arrived, they were waiting for him, Kumo's Anbu taking him directly to the Raikage and his brother, B. According to the Raikage, B and the Hachibi had sensed him as he crossed the border, and forced his brother to get ready. When the Raikage asked him what his intentions were, as Jubi, he had merely smiled, to save the Biju. Naruto had told him of his plan, contingent on whether Kumo treated the Biju he brought like people rather than weapons and respect their decisions, and the Raikage had approved wholeheartedly. He had long since had complaints about how the other villages, Kiri in particular, had treated their Jinchuriki and Biju. The idea that Kumo would have 8 loyal defenders, not counting Naruto, also helped the decision. After telling him of the plan, Naruto had also told him of his identity, and what he planned to do with Konoha. When he turned 10, he wanted to return, to give his parents one last chance. The Raikage was stunned when he said that, having no idea that the Jubi, the most powerful being on the planet, was under a decade old. Still, Naruto felt a vague lingering attachment to them, but if they blew his trust, he would have no problem sending them all to hell. Hey, nobody said being a god meant he had to be nice. Again, the Raikage laughed, approving of his plan, and both swore an oath to protect the Biju and their hosts. Then Naruto had set out to start his plan. Now he was bringing the last set in, their places already prepared in Kumo. Time skipped 2 years. Naruto was often seen sitting in a bar, talking with his godmother, with his shapeshift up obviously. He had been in contact with her and his godfather, both of which were relieved he was alive. They didn't know what had happened, only that he had gained power beyond both of them combined. After hearing how Minato had abandoned him, they had even agreed not to tell him about Naruto being alive, at least until he was ready. In return, Naruto had taught both his transformation technique, which actually changed the form of the caster, to the point that a male transformed into a female could actually get pregnant, or an old person could shapeshift into a younger one and have all those years left, that is, if their mind stayed healthy. Both were more than happy to help him learn some of their more advanced jutsu in return. For Jiraiya, he was taught the Rasengan and how to summon, even though he didn't have a contract or want the toads. His Rinnegan allowed him the chakra construct summoning path, or as the Jubi, the demon art of summoning, which let him summon demons, devils, and other supernatural beings. After Jiraiya learned that, it was hard get him to stop pestering Naruto to summon up a horde of succubi and letting him have fun. Only the news that they would literally drain his soul out through his man parts and eat it shut him up, and even then he wanted to see what they looked like as inspiration for his books. Eventually Naruto made a deal that he'd summon one succubus and let Jiraiya order it around for 1 day without it harming him. As the god of demons, he could command the succubus to not feed from the mega perv, in return for never asking Naruto to summon them again. Perverts plus succubi was a bad thing. With Tsunade he learned her art of meiotic regeneration, and the theory behind a bunch of high-level healing jutsu. He didn't bother to learn the jutsu themselves, preferring to use his inordinate chakra and perfect control to effectively force another body to heal by recreating the damaged area with his chakra solidification. When Jiraiya went into Sage mode one time to demonstrate it for Naruto, he learned of his connection with nature, or more accurately nature's connection with him. It took a lot of pleading on his part to keep Jiraiya quiet about the amount of nature chakra he could sense from Naruto, but he did eventually. He stayed with Tsunade for a while, until it was time for him to leave, to return to that hell he called his birthplace. Konoha. Naruto approached the gates of Konoha, wearing a set of clothing that resembled the lightweight armor that scouting teams wore, inlaid with seals and forged of his own chakra metal, unbreakable with his chakra constantly cycling through it. It had a genjutsu over it though, making others see it as a normal set of civilian clothing, with a special katana over his back. He had a genjutsu on, giving him black hair, green eyes and very pale skin. His demonic features were missing, shape-shifted away temporarily, and his energy was suppressed down to nearly nothing. Well, for him. He couldn't have any sensors find him, right? As he approached, he mentally changed, putting on the mask of the dark, slightly amusing teen with an evil past, hiding the cold-blooded, sarcastic, sadistic demon behind the facade. Halt! The gate guard called to him. State your business. I have information for the Hokage. Naruto said calmly, it's about his child. One of the two Chunin nodded, vanishing in a shunshin while the other walked over to him. Due to some recent security problems, all people wishing to meet with the Hokage need to have chakra-suppressing seals placed on them for the duration of the meeting, and no weapons. He said, holding out his hands for the sword. Naruto shrugged, handing it over and accepting the tag, placing it on his back. It didn't do anything, after all. Formalities done, the Chunin grabbed his shoulder and shunshin-ed him to the Hokage tower, outside it. The secretary looked up as they walked in. Ah yes, Hokage-sama is expecting you. Naruto walked past her into the office, the Chunin escorting him. Inside, Minato Namikaze Uzumaki, Kushina Namikaze Uzumaki and Reina Namikaze Uzumaki were sitting around a table. So, who are you and what information do you have on my daughter? Minato said bluntly. Naruto chuckled softly, I don't have information on your daughter. It's your son I come to you about. All three stiffened slightly, I don't know what you're talking about. Minato said slowly, I only have one child. Naruto sighed, Hokage-san, let's not play this game. If you want my information, stop treating me like an idiot and denying a fact I know. After all, I found him. Kushina glared at him, you're lying. Our son died 4 years ago, he was disintegrated, yes I know. Naruto interrupted, but what did you get told, exactly? He disintegrated right? You never were told he was dead, and he didn't die. Naruto is alive and well. I can give you a picture of him if you wish, to prove it. All three sucked in their breath as he held out a picture of himself in his old form before he was the Jubi, aged about 2 years. His 6 whisker scars were obvious and his blue eyes spoke volumes. He's perfectly fine. Where is he? Reina asked, voice trembling. Where is my Oni-san? Naruto shook his head. I came here because of him. He sent me with a message. He wants to return, if you will fulfill a few conditions. Firstly, he does know of his parentage, obviously. He wants legal emancipation and his new surname, chosen by him. Secondly, he wants to be put into the academy to take the test, this year. I can vouch that he has skills far beyond a genin. Hell, he is better than a jonin. Thirdly, you won't attempt to manipulate him or change him in any way. And finally, you won't ask him about how or why he left or obtained his skills. If you will agree to that, I can contact him immediately to return. Minato frowned at the list, and Kushina burst into tears. He hates us. He wants to get out of our family. She sobbed. I knew it. I knew we shouldn't have pushed him away. Minato patted her on the shoulder. Ahem, Mr. Otsutsuki, Naruto said. Alright, Mr. Otsutsuki, is there any way you can bring him here to talk to, face to face? We'll offer as much as you want. Naruto laughed inside. No. I will not betray him. Minato's face hardened, then perhaps he will come to rescue his messenger. Naruto smiled. Well, that won't work for 2 reasons. 1. If I go missing he will merely believe that Konoha has no respect for his wishes and join another village, and 2. I wouldn't go quietly. While I may not be able to beat you all, I can at least send a message to him before I go. He has obtained the backing of the Raikage, after all, and the new Mizukage. If you're willing to alienate your son even more and rally 2 villages against you, go ahead. Minato sighed, giving in. Fine. Tell him we will accept his conditions with one of our own. He has to prove to us that he can use chakra with enough skill to be a ninja successfully. Naruto smiled, agreed. Please take off the chakra suppressor tag so I may contact him. He turned around, exposing the tag. This was just for show, he didn't want to show them the full extent of his abilities. Minato nodded, pulling it off. As he did, Naruto released the genjutsu over himself, not the one over his demonic features, but his general one. Alright, now what? Minato and Kushina blinked a few times, mouth opening up and down. Reina had no such hesitation, jumping at him squealing, only for him to catch her and set her back down at the table. I wouldn't trust something like this to a subordinate, Naruto said. Naruto? Kushina said slowly, is that you? Naruto nodded sharply. Naruto Otsutsuki, now. As for demonstrating chakra control or skills, does the genjutsu that fooled all of you count? Minato nodded silently, obviously not trusting himself to talk. Then am I dismissed? Naruto prodded. Wait Sochi. Kushina said quickly, I need to talk to you, to explain. Naruto shook his head. I really don't want to talk about that. I would prefer to not remember that time. I know why you did it, but I can't forgive. By your leave. He vanished in an element less Shunshin. Minato found his voice as he vanished. Kushina. I don't think we should approach him anytime soon. I'll send a note to the academy, but we need to keep his distance, to give him time to adjust. And I need to contact a few people to put my plan back into action. I hope Jiraiya shows up soon. Kushina nodded sadly. I just hope he eventually forgives us. Reina merely sobbed. The next day, Naruto entered the academy, 4 months before the final test. An Anbu had found him at Ichiraku's ramen stand, talking with the Ichirakus, one of the few families who hadn't treated him as a demon. The dog-masked Anbu had given him a note to Iruka, and directions to the academy, and sent him on his way. As he opened the door to the classroom, he felt all eyes on him. He handed the teacher, Iruka, the note from the Hokage. Alright class, we have a new student. This is Naruto Otsutsuki, who has returned after 4 years. He will be joining our class and taking the graduation test with us, Iruka said slowly. What? Kiba Inuzuka yelled, the demon is back? Why does he get to skip most of the year? Iruka started to respond, but was silenced as Kiba fell to the floor, gasping as a killing intent radiated from Naruto, focused mostly on Kiba. It was about 0.1% of his max, but any more would have killed the boy, and he didn't want that. Does that answer your question? Iruka cut in, as impressive as that was, please don't make it a habit. You can go sit next to Sasuke. Naruto merely nodded, moving to the back of the class to sit next to the duck-butt Avenger, who looked at him with an appraising eye, impressed by his ki. Alright, today we'll be going over the 3 Academy Jutsu. Since we've gone over them before, after this you're all going to be splitting up into groups based on where your skills are and what you need help with. Now, since you're new, Naruto, can you please show us these 3, if you can? Iruka said snidely. Naruto sighed, at the front of the class in Iruka's chair. Wait, what? He had pulled off a human Kawarimi with no smoke, no sense of displacement and without the target noticing. As he switched back with Iruka, he spoke, I'm sorry but I don't have the chakra control necessary for single Bunshin, but I can do other Bunshin types. And I can create thousands of them. He smiled evilly, Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. In an instant, the doors opened, a horde of Naruto's clones swarming into the classroom, on the walls, and even the ceiling, each wearing that evil smile. And finally, the henge. Transform, he shouted, as all of the Bunshins turned into animals. He himself turned into a mini version of the 9-tailed fox. Does it count if it is a true henge? I don't make an illusion, I actually change myself or my clones. The rest of the class were all wearing looks of, why the fuck is he in the academy? Reina was thinking quickly, how can he have so much chakra? He had no network. Come to think of it, how did he make the tunnel out 4 years ago? There was no way that was natural. I'll have to ask Toussaint when I get home. Maybe if I ask nicely, he'll teach me. Kurama was snickering in his cage. Nice one Jubi-sama. I'm flattered that you're using my form, he. Oh, I hope I can come out soon. Sasuke was glaring at the grinning Nine-Tails replica, thinking, how does he have this much power? He's a nobody, a clanless loser. I am an Uchiha elite. I know. I'll talk to the council, they'll make him give me this power. As if it could read his thoughts, the fox boy turned to him, snickering slightly. Anyway, does that work? Naruto said nonchalantly. Iruka closed his mouth slowly, why yes, it does. All of the clones vanished as one. But Naruto stayed in the fox form. I like this form. Don't mind me, he said snarkily. Iruka nodded slowly. Anyway, Sasuke, you're next. Skipping the rest of the lesson as I'm sure you don't want to read about various people doing basic transformations. As Naruto started for the place he was staying at, a building he had bought in the upscale part of town, an Anbu appeared beside him. The council is ordering for you. Naruto shrugged, good for them. He continued walking, ignoring the Anbu. You have to come. The Anbu persisted. Actually, as far as I know, I'm not technically a ninja yet, thus they have no power over me, Naruto corrected, and I don't want to. The Anbu sighed, vanishing. In the council chambers, the civilian and shinobi councils were assembled, waiting for the Anbu to return with the boy who was the talk of the academy. As he appeared, they noticed he was missing something. Namely the person he was sent to get. Where is the boy? Where is Naruto Otsutsuki? A civilian council member asked. He said he didn't want to come, and pointed out that as he wasn't a ninja yet, you have no control over whether or not he comes. I can't do anything, he's actually right about it. The Anbu said, most of the shinobi council openly smirking at his reply. What? A civilian council member shouted, how dare he? Bring him here now. The Anbu sweat dropped. Council Lady Haruno, that would be illegal. The Hyuga clan head actually chuckled. As the subject in question does not wish to meet with us at this time, I move we end this session now and get back to whatever we wanted to do. I know I'll be going to buy earplugs for the next session. He reached up, pulling a purple cone of foam out of one of his ears. These seem to be defective. As both council's sweat dropped, Shikaku Nara seconded the motion, and everybody left. As they filed out, Danzo, Kaharu and Homura, the 3 advisors, stayed behind. The nerve of that brat. Kaharu raged, how dare you refuse the council? Don't worry, Kaharu. I will have him under me one way or another, Danzo said calmly, before realizing what he said made him sound like a pedophile, and quickly exiting, a red blush spreading on his cheeks. They had no way of knowing that one of the boy in question's clones was hanged and in that very room. A literal fly on the wall, who chuckled slightly before he dispersed. Naruto was at his front door when another Anbu appeared next to him, this time from the Hokage. Oh come on, not another one, he groaned, turning to face the masked shinobi. The Hokage would like to speak with you about the display at the academy today, the shinobi said, I was sent to take you to him. Naruto sighed, fine. The Anbu touched him and both vanished in a swirl of leaves. When they appeared in the Hokage's office, leaves noticeably absent, Naruto turned to the Anbu. You're going to go to my home and pick up every one of those leaves you just spread, right? He said, lacing his words with enough killing intent to force the Anbu to his knees. Hi, he said quickly, vanishing. Naruto sighed, turning to the Hokage. You wish to see me, Hokage-sama? Yes. I was wondering, what exactly did you do at the academy today? According to reports, they saw you make approximately 70 shadow clones, and then do solid transformations of them and yourself. AS-ranked genjutsu. What kind of genjutsu was it? Minato asked. It wasn't a genjutsu, Hokage-sama. If you wish, I can demonstrate either of the skills here, with someone with the Byakugan or Sharingan watching to verify, as long as they keep it secret, Naruto said slowly. As for the clones, I can't really explain that other than my reserve is nigh infinite. Minato sighed. Well then, I'll call a council meeting so you can demonstrate it. Naruto shrugged. Fine, if you can promise to gag the Banshee. Minato's sweat dropped, wondering how he knew the Haruno council lady, but said, it's a shinobi matter, so we only need the shinobi council. Naruto nodded. Fine then. As the clan heads assembled, not knowing what was going on, Naruto was reinforcing the illusions over his demonic aspects. He knew that the Byakugan wouldn't be able to see them. Hell, he would blind them if they so much as glanced at him. But the Sharingan was an unknown variable. As Fugaku Uchiha entered the room, Minato stood. Alright then. I'm going to skip all the formalities, as this is an unofficial meeting. I called you here to verify something, and wanted to make it official. Fugaku, Hiashi, will you please direct your Dujutsu to Naruto here? Naruto walked out of the shadows, only for Hiashi to scream, throwing his hands to his eyes. Oh god. What happened? Minato yelled. What just happened? My eyes. I can't see anything. His chakra blinded me. His whole body shines like the sun. Hiashi wept. He's a monster. He has more chakra than even the Biju. At that, everybody's eyes fell on Naruto again, who shrugged. I told you I was strong. As two Anbu carried Hiashi out of the room, Fugaku Uchiha activated his Sharingan, glaring at Naruto, only to gasp, paling, before he grabbed his chest and keeled over. What the hell is happening? Minato roared, Anbu taking Fugaku as well. My energy is too potent for them to look at. If I had to guess about the Uchiha, he died from shock, Naruto mused. Anyway, I also had something to say to the council. He paused, closing his eyes. I have a request. As I am no longer part of my old family, Minato winced. Am I considered a clan head? I have my own bloodline too. The council buzzed at that. No insult to the Abarames, what bloodline? Shikaku asked. It's sorta weird. Naruto scratched his head. I can't die. There were many raised eyebrows at that. What do you mean? Yamanaka Inoichi asked. You can't mean you're immortal. Naruto shrugged. If someone gives me a weapon, I can demonstrate. Kakashi, wearing his Anbu gear, handed him a short wakizashi, which Naruto took with a nod. As I was saying, just watch. Naruto said, placing the tip of it over his heart, then thrusting before anyone could do anything. Gasps rang out at this apparent suicide, until they realized, wait, he isn't falling over or anything. Naruto smiled, releasing the blade sticking through him. As I said, I can't die. I can be wounded, but all I have to do is kill myself to regenerate, even if my natural regeneration doesn't heal me nearly instantly. Even if my full body is destroyed down to an atomic level, I can come back. Actually, he had accidentally had to test that when the Tsuchikage faced him. He had been struck directly with the atomic dismantling jutsu, but his body had merely reformed. After all, it was made of chakra and could reform out of the chakra in the air. Still, he did have some weaknesses. Things like the Kamui, which transported items to other dimensions, could hurt him. As they didn't truly wound him, they separated those parts, transporting them away. It originally wasn't an attack technique, it was a teleportation, defensive technique, though he could regenerate from it slowly, or use the surefire method of killing himself, along with other time-space ninjutsu. Luckily, even though they could wound him dearly, he couldn't actually die. Perks of being a living god. It took about 2 minutes for the stunned council members to pick their jaws up off the floor. How does your ability work? Shikaku asked after recovering. Is it instantaneous regeneration or some other ability? Naruto smiled, neither. My body is special? I won't go into specifics, but for all intents and purposes, I am unkillable. How did you come to possess this invincibility? Shibi Aburame asked, interested. It is not like any bloodline I have heard of before. Did your parents possess this? Naruto shrugged, not that I know of. Actually, I am not 100% sure it's a bloodline, as part of it means I don't actually have blood. This led to another round of gaping, until Naruto sighed, pulling the sword out. Instead of having blood on it, there was a sheen of glowing liquid on it, which quickly evaporated the hole in his chest ceiling as it was withdrawn. Well, I for one believe that any chance of a bloodline like this being passed on should be grasped completely. I move that we establish an Otsutsuki clan with Naruto Otsutsuki as its head. Shikaku said quickly. I second that movement, Shibi said, calling for the vote. By the end of the vote, there was a new clan in Konoha, bearing the name of the Sage of Six Paths. We will need to make a clan compound eventually, but for now I assume you wish to stay in your current location, Minato said queryingly. Indeed, Hokage-sama. I know it is unusual, if not downright unique, for an academy student to have a seat on the council, so I would like to ask the council's permission to appoint a representative for me, someone that I met on my travels, Naruto said. Sadly, that is not allowed without a full vote of the council, which the civilians will not agree to, Minato said, but we can put your seat in holding, so that you only have to come for serious business, instead of every little meeting. Naruto nodded, thank you. With that done, Minato turned back to the council. I believe this concludes our meeting. I do not feel I need a demonstration of Naruto's capabilities after learning of this. If nobody has any more questions or concerns, you may leave. As one, the shinobi clan heads filed out, Naruto taking the lead. Finally making it home without Anbu interference, he found a different type of annoyance. The minute he entered his home, a katana swept his head from his shoulders, held by a blank masked Anbu agent. When his head touched the floor, it disintegrated into nothingness, regrowing on his neck. Quickly he brought his hand up to stop a second swing with a chakra rod, and flared his chakra past the seals the sage had put on him, acting like a giant beacon to anyone who could sense it. So Danzo-sama was right, the blank-masked Anbu said, you are immortal. The boy growled, why the fuck are so many people determined to annoy me today? I don't like busybodies or people trying to kill me. You fall under both categories, so you won't get to report back to Danzo. You're going to lose your soul. As he said that, no less than 100 Anbu appeared around the house, trapping both the rude Anbu and Naruto. What the hell is going on here? Minato roared, what was that chakra spike? Naruto was holding back the rude Anbu's katana, little busy being attacked. I needed someone here to verify what I'm going to do is not illegal. As he said that, he formed one-handed seals with his other hand, Kinjutsu binding of the soul. Ghostly silver chains burst through the floor, phasing into existence as they wrapped around the Anbu agent, ripping his soul from his physical body and dragging it into the floor, straight to hell. With that done, the physical body fell to the ground, alive but empty of a soul. Phew, Naruto turned to see Minato and the Anbu staring wide-eyed, hello? Just got attacked by a Konoha ninja? Isn't a little interrogation usual now? Minato shook his head, snapping out of it, isn't he dead? No, I pulled his soul out, but his brain and memories are still intact. He just has no animating force. He'll obey orders but has no mind of his own now, Naruto said. This technique was created by the one whose name I bear, Hagoromo Otsutsuki. Two of the Anbu came forward, picking up the body. Seeing as he isn't technically dead, you haven't done anything wrong. We'll interrogate him about who he was and why he attacked you. Naruto nodded, then glared at Minato. If something like this happens again, I will be forced to consider Konoha unsafe for me and any potential family I would have and leave. One more incident. Minato nodded, getting the message. If this happens again, he's going to leave forever. He interpreted correctly. We will take every precaution from this point on. He promised. Of course, his idea of precautions were very different than Naruto's. Naruto nodded, the chakra rod vanishing into his sleeve where it was dissolved back into him. Now if all of you would excuse me, I have some sleep to catch up on. Danzo fumed in the root headquarters. The brat had not only managed to survive, but he had rendered all of the time spent training his men to resist interrogation and make seals useless. If he could make them soulless drones, he could make them spill all of his secrets. And without knowing the jutsu he used on them, Danzo couldn't make a counter. Growling, he sat down in a hardback chair. Damn brat. Not only is the Kyuubi brat beyond my reach, but this new brat is even worse. A laugh came from the shadows. You have no idea. Danzo stiffened. How did you find this place? He asked cautiously. Blue eyes with red rings and Tomo in them opened in the shadows. Why Danzo, nothing is impossible for a demon god. I am the Jubi, lord of the tailed beasts and god of destruction. And the person who will be killing you. Danzo let out a bark of laughter. I think not. Koto Amatsukami. The eyes widened for a second, before narrowing. You really expect your Sharingan to affect a being like me? I am made of chakra, you idiot, there is no mind for you to affect. I do find the chakra signature of your arm and eye to be interesting. I'll have to take them to Itachi as payment for his help in this matter. Danzo glared. Not if I kill you first. With that, he activated the Izanagi, then detonated the explosive tags in the hideout. There were enough to make a crater a few miles in diameter. When the dust settled, Danzo stood in the crater, a triumphant smile on his face. You lose, Jubi. Oh really? A voice whispered behind him, before a broadsword swung across his neck, not cutting anything. Danzo felt the effects though. He fell to his knees, chakra racing through his system as his chakra network started to overload. Naruto's sword, Ghost Moon, had 3 forms, besides its normal katana-shaped form. The broadsword was the first. In that form it inserted tailed beast chakra into whatever it touched, overloading the network of the target with no physical damage. The second was that of a spear, known as the Spear of Glory, a weapon that could kill anything, even gods other than its master. The final form was that of pure destruction. If Naruto transformed it into the third form, it vanished into him, linking with his mind. When that happened, he gained control over every chakra network in the area, able to destroy or improve them with a thought. That form, however, was nigh uncontrollable. He only had used it once and was still scarred from the sight of hundreds of people literally becoming liquid as chakra burst from every cell in their body, unbinding them from the others and breaking cohesion. He could actually do something like that if he released his full power, according to the sage's memories, but to do that would send up a chakra flare large enough to literally destroy the elemental nations with its power. Of course, tailed beasts were immune to the first form, though the second and third could kill them. It was designed to protect them, not kill them, and it was one of the tools Hagoromo had left the idea for in the cave, but Naruto had actually made the thing out of his chakra. The other being a sealing scroll that could contain even a tailed beast or human while alive, along with slowly healing and replenishing the chakra while inside it. The creature inside could choose when to leave and was aware of the outside world, making it unique in terms of seals. Naruto had copied the seal onto himself, but changed it so it would instead passively absorb free-floating chakra and give it to the creature inside to increase their max reserves. He had transcribed it to his arms, and sealed 2 summons inside them. Being the Jubi, he had the ability to summon any creature, humans included if he wished, or tailed beasts, demons. In one of the seals was the King of Dragons, Agnid, and in the other was the Lord of the Depths, Leviathan. Both were creatures that came from the time of the sage, and had total loyalty to the Jubi. It didn't hurt that he treated them as comrades and had taught them how to hide their powers so they could interact with humans. He had also made a toned-down version of the seal to publish as his own work. Hey, even a demon has to make money. Naruto turned away as Danzo stumbled towards him, reaching out as if to touch him, but exploded right before he touched him, exploding into a spray of gore. His arm and head were fully intact, Sharingan displayed. Naruto had purposefully not channeled the chakra into those areas to preserve them. Grimacing fiercely, Naruto used Kamui to teleport the arm and the head of Danzo to Itachi, who had helped him master the powers of his eyes. He and Nagato had become Naruto's friends, after he had shown them the truth of his claims to be the Jubi. Nagato had helped him control his eyes, and Itachi's Rinnegan knockoff, the final level of the Sharingan, isn't as powerful as the true Rinnegan, which contains the 7 paths, counting outer, and the abilities of the Sharingan, Mangekyo Sharingan, and Byakugan, plus the ability to see chakra in the air passively and manipulate it, had been forcibly awakened by Naruto as a thank you for helping him with the Sanbi and Utakata. Itachi had told him the truth of the Uchiha massacre, infuriating the young Jubi that Danzo would call upon the most peaceful of the Uchiha to perform such a task. Now, he got his revenge. Plus Itachi had the right to choose what to do with the Sharingan. His task done, Naruto vanished in a kamui to his home, leaving before the Anbu could come see the crater. All they would find would be gore and a hole. The time until graduation passed swiftly, Naruto making friends with Aburame Shino, Nara Shikamaru, and especially Hyuga Hinata. He also had a sort of tenuous relationship with Kiba, but the boy irritated him with his east and rude remarks, plus the way he treated women. With Hinata, he had warned her on the first day not to look at him with her dujutsu, or risk blindness. He had tried to lower the level of chakra he constantly had circulating through him, but it was still dangerous to a Hyuga. She and he were extremely close. She helped as a sounding board for ideas, and helped him design and test new jutsu and seals. She was also the only one who he had told about his past, the truth, and his mask. She had a mask like his. She was strong and honestly somewhat sadistic, but had to hide behind the nervous, stuttering, weak facade to prevent her family from knowing. Konoha would rather let her die than have a Hyuga leave, caged bird seal or not, and she hated it with all her rage-filled heart. To find a creature like herself within the boy she found herself liking was a godsend. Telling her the truth was originally a coincidence. She had sensed something off about his chakra and asked why it felt so dark, leading to his careful consideration, then explanation. Of course, by then they were boyfriend-girlfriend, and he trusted her enough with the information, knowing she was hiding something too. After he told her, she revealed her true self, and he loved her even more for it. In fact, at her insistence he had taken her to the Kamui realm. There he had changed into his full demonic god form, removing his mask and sending enough chakra into her to convert her into a being rivaling Nine Tails, and gifted her with the same sort of control seal the sage gave him. After all, if she was going to be his mate, she couldn't be weak, right? She still had to unlock the latent power, but when she fully did she would be able to match Kurama in pure power, if not experience. They had stayed there, training and doing other things, for a few weeks, to them, or seconds in reality. By the end it was official, Hinata was his soulmate, and she knew it. He had fallen hard for her, and vice versa. She was the only one who knew who he truly was, and knew his past, and he was the only one that knew her inner demon. And she hated Minato and his family, so that was a plus in his book. He only returned to the normal world at her insistence. As much as she wanted to stay with him forever there, she didn't want to do it yet. So, Naruto, who do you think your team will be? Shikamaru asked the day after graduation. It had been well known that he would pass. After the display on his first day, not even Tsunade would lose a bet on his side. I don't know. The Hokage will probably put me with his daughter as her protection and to try to talk to me, and as she's the lead kunoichi, but I don't know who the third member will be. As long as it's not one of the assholes that think I'm the reincarnation of the Kyuubi, I'll be fine, Naruto said. Inwardly he was smirking, he was so much more than the Kyuubi. Shino gave him a piercing look. His insects had picked up on Naruto's strange chakra, demonic and so thick they couldn't bear to touch him, and he knew Naruto was hiding something big. Well, I would assume you'd get put with the dead last, but everyone knows Shikamaru, Choji and Ino are going to be paired, Hinata said. Naruto had made it a priority to appear to fix her stuttering and confidence, so that she could slowly remove the mask, and he had seemed to advance by leaps and bounds. As far as anyone else knew, her Jukin and confidence were at an all-time high. True, so I guess it'd be you then, Hinata, Naruto said, shrugging. Hinata was the second lowest, thanks to her confidence problem and mask, but recently she had improved. Sadly the gap couldn't be bridged that fast, and she was at the bottom still. Well, I wouldn't mind that, Naruto-kun, she said, fiddling with her hands, I mean if you don't mind. Naruto reached over and flicked her forehead gently, stuttering, remember? And don't worry, I'd enjoy having you on my team. You've gotten a lot better, and I can only imagine how strong we could be if we combined some of my pure chakra reserves and your Jukin, once I finish the transfer seal. Hinata smiled at that, rubbing the area he flicked gently. Inwardly both she and he laughed at the little show they were putting on for the others, both looking forward to the day they could stop. Oh come on you two, get a room, Kiba called. So troublesome? Shikamaru shook his head at the way Kiba was acting. Anyway, where's Iruka anyway? As he spoke, the man in question limped into the room. One of his legs was in a cast, thanks to his stupidity in challenging Naruto to a spar for the taijutsu part of the graduation exam. Alright, everyone be quiet. He yelled angrily, glaring at Naruto. Naruto just glared back, ignoring the killing intent Iruka tried to put out. Alright, now for the teams, Iruka began. I'm going to skip the beginning ones and just get to the relevant ones. Team 7. Otsutsuki Naruto, Uzumaki Namikaze Reina, and Hyuga Hinata, under Elite John and Uzumaki Namikaze Kushina. He was interrupted from continuing when Kiba let out a loud moan, and Hinata whooped happily. Then she forcibly fainted, using a Jukin technique as she accidentally touched her face and forced chakra to restart her system. All everyone else saw was Hinata fainting because she was embarrassed at what she had done. You keep going, Iruka, I'll wake her up, Naruto said, purposefully leaving off any honorific. Inside he was fuming. The Hokage had purposefully put him on a team with his mother, no doubt to try to get him back. Well, two can play at that game. He tapped Hinata on the shoulder, releasing a minuscule amount of chakra into her body, directing it into the adrenal glands, releasing a bit of adrenaline to wake her up. It worked. She sat up slowly, a blush covering her cheeks. As Naruto helped her up, he heard Iruka say, "Wait here. Your Jonin senseis will be here shortly," before vanishing in a shunshin. Naruto sighed. Not to rip off Shikamaru, but this would be very troublesome. Especially since his mother was a censor, and he couldn't use anywhere near his full power without being discovered. Hey Hinata, after we finish with this, want to go get ramen? Naruto asked her. Sure Naruto-kun. The Hyuga heiress stuttered, receiving another light flick. Ow. Naruto's head suddenly jerked up to the door as he felt Kushina arrive. Her chakra, now that he was looking for it, was strange. There were traces of demonic energy. Considering that she had been the Kyuubi host before, that was normal. What wasn't normal was the amount of demonic energy. Her chakra made up about 75% of her total, the rest being yokai. Interesting, he muttered as she appeared in the door. Team 7, follow me, she called, to the roof. As she vanished in a shunshin, Naruto wrapped his hand around a pink Hinata and both vanished in a light shunshin, blinding others with the glare it produced. Damn show off? Kiba grumbled, rubbing his eyes. I swear, I want to know why he's so powerful. Akamaru, why won't you tell me? Akamaru, being sensitive to nature as all animals are, barked. Kiba, if you could sense the amount of power he has, you'd be running as fast as you can. And he's not even showing his full strength. Kiba groaned, letting his head fall to the desk. Troublesome. At the Nara compound, every one of them sneezed at once, then muttered, troublesome. For a minute they pondered this phenomenon, then shrugged and got back to their naps, cloud watching, shogi games. On the roof, Kushina was blinded by the glare as Naruto and Hinata appeared. Inside she was astounded. What the hell was that? Was that a light-release shunshin? That Kekai Genkei has been gone for centuries. I need to talk to Minato first. Well, looks like you're all here, she said as Reina popped out of the stairwell. So, to start off we're going to be doing introductions. You know, what you like, dislike, your dreams, hopes for the future, stuff like that. I'll go first. My name is Uzumaki Namikaze Kushina, or Kushina Sensei to you three, and I like ramen, my children, my husband, training, and sparring with Reina. I am very skilled in Kenjutsu, chakra chains, Fuinjutsu and Ninjutsu, and moderate with Genjutsu and Taijutsu. Naruto ignored the children line, speaking up. My name is Otsutsuki Naruto, or at least that is the name I claimed from my heritage. I was out of the village for 4 years after getting fed up with being treated like a demon by most people. Now, I take it as a compliment, it just means I can be demonic with my fights. Also, the katana on my back is bound to me, and I only use it in its ultimate form if I'm totally dedicated to the death of whoever lies before me. I like creating my own seals, improving and creating jutsu, training, talking with my friends, and irritating the council. My dislikes are people that can't see the true value of someone, people that are very annoying or persistent, manipulations, people that don't own up to their mistakes, and those who underestimate me. My dreams are none of your business, and I have many hopes for the future, the most short term of which being finishing my latest seal. An anti-seal seal that prevents any seals from attaching to or affecting whatever it is placed on. I should have it done within a few days. I also am very advanced in ninjutsu, fuinjutsu, iryojutsu, kenjutsu, and taijutsu, with moderate skills in genjutsu, but sadly due to my large reserves I can't do them very well. Kushina's eyes widened at this, and she interrupted before Reina spoke. Wait. You've been able to make new seals and jutsu at your age? You have a blood-bound weapon? Naruto nodded. I have made a medical seal which can store living humans in stasis in order to get them to medics easier and quicker. It also works to repair the person slowly by using chakra in the air and applying it to the person's body, replicating destroyed cells, at the cost of making anyone stored in it lose some of their remaining cell divisions. I based it off of Senju Tsunade's art of meiotic regeneration. My weapon is bloodbound, yes, and it's totally devoted to me. I'm not going to let anyone touch it, not that they could. If they tried, they would just pass through it. Now Kushina was gaping openly, along with Reina. Hinata had been there while he completed both the seal and blade, and actually volunteered to test the first function of the blade for him, since it wouldn't hurt her. She just smiled proudly. She knew why he couldn't tell his mother that he had made it. After all, that art was supposed to be lost to time. Actually, he was in the process of forming a blade for her, and it should be finished within a month. Kushina's mind was racing. If his claims were true and this seal worked, it would cut battlefield fatalities in half. Most deaths were caused by blood loss due to bad wounds. After the enemy had ensured you would die, they just moved on. This way, they could prevent all those deaths. But something did worry her, and that was the blood-bound weapon. They were insanely rare, the process for making them completely lost. The only ones that were thought to still exist were the blades of the seven swordsmen and her own blade, Crimson Maelstrom. For him to find a new one, plus the way he spoke of it having a released form, could he have found a way to access the mythical, released state? Now she really needed to talk to Minato. If he had found out how to make them, or found more than one, he would need to tell them, for the safety of everyone involved. After the test she would go to him. Naruto cleared his throat. As much as I appreciate your need to ogle me, I find it somewhat disturbing coming from you too. What? Kushina said, snapping back to reality, then processed what he had said. No. Hinata chose to speak then. My name is Hyuga Hinata, of the main branch, and I like Naruto-kun, training, helping him design seals and jutsu, and being with my friends. I dislike ISDS like Kiba, perverts, people that are mean to Naruto-kun, and I especially hate the people that caused him to leave the village 4 years ago. As she said that, she leveled an icy glare at Kushina and Reina. My dreams are to stay with Naruto-kun as more than a friend. At that, she blushed red, Naruto putting his arm around her and hugging her slightly. My hopes for the future are to help Naruto-kun find a way to end the slavery of the caged bird seal, or make the Hyuga clan all equal some other way. Like everyone 6 feet under, she thought. I am proficient in Jukin, and I have been practicing with Naruto-kun, so I am moderately skilled with wind and water manipulation, along with ninjutsu and ninkenjutsu, a chakra-based sword style, based on those elements. I am currently working with him to combine the two into ice, and I have nearly done it. Again, Kushina was floored. First off, the girl knew of Naruto's family. That look she directed at her was proof of that. Second, she knew what had occurred over the years he was gone, even though his own family didn't. Thirdly, she was madly in love with him. And finally she was apparently able to combine elements to simulate Kekkei Genkei, thought impossible by most. I'll have to watch this one, she thought. Reina was thinking along the same lines, though for a very different reason. Maybe if I get to be her friend she'll tell me what happened to Oni-san. But I can't let her get too close to him, that would destroy father's plan. Alright. I'm Uzumaki Namikaze Reina, daughter of Kushina-sensei and the Hokage. I like ramen, my family and friends, and training. I dislike the Kyuubi, any of the tailed beasts or demons, people that are false friends, and people that want to kiss up to me just because of my family. My dream is to finally have my brother back. At that, she could swear she felt the air drop 10 degrees, as both Naruto and Hinata shot her ice-cold glares and Kushina looked alarmed. My hopes for the future are to get my brother back, and to make our family whole once again. Naruto just shook his head, before turning to Kushina. So, sensei, what now? Now the real genin test begins, she said. we're going to training ground 44. Kushina grabbed Reina's hand and vanished in a shunshin, leaving Naruto and Hinata behind. Geez Hinata-hime, did you really have to say all that? I know it's true, but now they'll be after you, even if it's just to find out what happened. I may be what I am, but I don't want to have to fight an entire village even if I could win easily. I'm sorry Taiyoukai-sama, but I couldn't help it, she said, lowering her head slightly. I just hate them for putting you through that, even if it did make you stronger. Naruto smiled, patting her gently on the back as he hugged her. No, it's fine, just please be more careful. And remember what I said about using that term while still in the village? Hinata blushed. Alright Naruto Koishi. Naruto sighed, that doesn't really work either, please just call me Naruto-kun or Naruto-san. I know you want to express yourself, but if you do call me by that, it makes it so much harder to stay unnoticed. Hinata nodded, blushing again. Understood Naruto-kun. Are you going to give them another chance like we planned? She asked. I have a bad feeling about it. Naruto smiled again. I'm not sure. We'll play it by ear. Anyway Hinata-hime, let's get going. Hinata hugged close to him, but before he could shunshin, she kissed him. On the lips. Naruto smiled as she stopped, blushing bright red, instinctively reapplying her mask. As much as I'd like to stay and continue this with you, we have a team waiting. Maybe later nay. Hinata hugged him, as he light shinned him to the outside of the forest of death. He could hear Kushina and Reina arguing in the distance, his enhanced senses hearing them easily, something prompting him to stay where he was and listen in. What he heard destroyed the prospect of joining them again. Ever. But Mom, he should be in our family. And why is he with that girl? We both know Dad's been setting up that marriage for a long time. Reina said. Reina, that's enough. I know, I agree he should be back, and we'll see what Jiraiya comes up with for it, but we need his brain UN marked with a memory erasing and loyalty seal. His seals could save hundreds upon hundreds of lives. As for the marriage, don't worry, Minato is prepared to get them apart, however it happens. Hinata didn't know what was going on, only that Naruto could hear something and it was pissing him off severely. Then he exploded with rage, grabbing her and shunshin-ing forward to meet them. Hey, you wanna know something? He said with deceptive calmness. I would now rather die than give my seals to some people who consider mind raping me to erase their mistakes and killing my hime. And if you think I'd ever agree to an arranged marriage, you're delusional. Good job, you just lost me a second time. With that last word, he yelled, Kamui, sucking him and Hinata into the black vortex before the red-headed pair's horrified eyes. After dropping Hinata off in his Kamui realm with a promise to return, Naruto visited the Hokage, appearing in the street and storming into the tower, his chakra threatening to escape the seal the sage had put on him due to his overwhelming rage. His mask was off, his blue illusionary eyes glowing with rage and darkness. He stormed past the cowering secretary and passed out Anbu guards. He had targeted them with his ki, knocking them out with it, and slammed open the door to the Hokage's office. You're a fucking manipulative bastard. He roared. I had been starting to consider offering an olive branch and then I overhear shit about loyalty seals, mind erasing seals and a fucking arranged marriage, along with killing the girl I love. You're fucking unbelievable. Minato paled dramatically. His son was standing in front of him, a black aura rising off of him, his chakra physically manifesting in his rage. Naruto, you just what? You were joking? You weren't going to do it? Fuck you and your stupid plans. As far as I'm concerned, I just lost whatever family I had, and on the day I had been considering accepting their fucking apologies. Goodbye and good riddance to bad rubbish. Naruto shouted, and Hinata is coming with me. The next time I see any of you, I will kill you with a fucking smile on my face. Kamui. With that, he vanished into the wormhole, leaving a pasty Minato sitting at a desk, staring horror-struck at where he had been. Jiraiya soared in through the window. Minato, I heard most of that. Please, tell me it was a lie, or a misunderstanding. Minato slowly turned to him. My son is gone. Again. Inside he was wondering how Naruto had used the power of the Mangekyo Sharingan without one. Jiraiya nodded, glaring angrily, and why? Because you fucked up, big time. I thought you were smart, not approaching him until he calmed enough to accept you as his family, but no, you were plotting to erase his memories and start over. You would take the greatest prodigy this village has and destroy it, just so he forgave you. Prodigy? What do you mean? Minato asked. I heard Naruto talking to Kushina on the roof of the academy. He'd designed a seal that would store humans, alive in a state of stasis to get them to medics. It would even passively heal them. He and Hinata were two of the brightest ninja in the fucking village, maybe the world, and you just lost both of them because you wanted to manipulate them. Jiraiya roared angrily, not mentioning that he had helped him make it, and I wouldn't be surprised if he goes to Tsunade and tells her of this. She had been in the most contact with him. When she hears that, she's going to completely abandon us, along with most of our allies, and I'm actually thinking they may not be wrong. Minato reddened considerably. We'll see about that, he snapped. Get me the Anbu. Jiraiya snorted, get them yourself. I quit, relinquish my title as Sannin, and quit being a ninja or citizen of Konoha. I'm going to be with my godson, to be the father you weren't. With that, he jumped out the window, shunshin-ing out of the village quickly before Minato could keep him inside. Naruto and Hinata were in the Kamui realm, with Hinata trying to convince him not to go back and blow the fuck out of the Hidden Leaf village. Taiyo-ukai-sama, I want to destroy them too, but if you do we'll have too much attention. I know you can win, but there's no point in destroying it now. It'd bring more pain to do it later. Join one of the other villages and destroy them in the Chunin exams or something. Remember, you still aren't at full strength from working on my sword and converting me. Naruto shook with rage, slowly calming down, and opened his true eyes, removing the shapeshift he had used to mask his demonic features. You're right, Hinata-heim. I don't want to do it now, I want to slowly destroy them. Let them see where they are headed, then make them suffer, while I fuck with my so-called family. Then I'll bring the hammer down. Hinata nodded. Yes, Taiyo-ukai-sama. Now, what are we going to do about this? Naruto smiled evilly. Well, we want to showcase our power, right? So let's do the world a favor and start eliminating the strongest enemies we might have to face, under other names of course. Hyuga Hinata and Otsutsuki Naruto have to die. The Akatsuki are on our side unofficially, and Kumo and Kirigakure are with us, but there's still plenty of enemies to go after. For now, though, I intend to recover my lost energy and work with one of my old associates, Gato. You need to finish converting. What stage is it at? Hinata closed her white eyes, her form rippling before changing. She had horns somewhat like his, but the color of her lavender hair. Her eyes had a black Rinnegan on the white background, and her hands had thin claws. A golden tail snaked out of her rear, one of 4. I'm at 4 tails at the moment, nearly on my 5th. I can't wait till I get to 9. Naruto smiled. Good, good, just remember, even with your power you can't be overconfident. You're a chakra construct like me and the Biju now, so you have to watch out. If people find out, you'll be sealed before you can say, Fuinjutsu. Also, once we leave this realm your name will be Mrs. QB, understand? My name is Mr. Jubi, got it? I know it's obvious when you think about it, but I used that alias while I was working with Gato before and nobody gave it a second thought. Hinata nodded, an evil grin coming over her face. Taiyo-ukai-sama, I just thought of something. Since you don't want Konoha's nin coming after you, you could appear as the cloaked man you had used before to freak out Konoha. If they're going after that appearance, we can work on our power while they chase shadows, right? Naruto nodded, patting her on the back. Yes, but I have an appearance already known with Mr. Jubi, as an assassin and mercenary, Heim. First I have to contact a friend of mine to get us somewhere to live though, before I can start up my work. His body shifted, his clothes becoming nondescript civilian clothes, other than his katana on his back and his mask. A ceramic-covered steel mask with a reverse color copy of one of his Rinnegan on it, making it look like nothing more than a simple decoration. He opened another Kamui portal, this one to the headquarters of the Gato Corporation, which he ran from the shadows. He was the one in the shadows that ran the company through Gato. Officially he was one of the anonymous chairman, Mr. Jubi, and unofficially he was the leader of the company, an unnamed mysterious figure whose face was never seen. Gato didn't even know who he was, only that he was very close to the leader, whose face he had never seen. As Mr. Jubi, he was also Gato's top mercenary, assassin and all-around killer, saboteur. He did the dirty jobs when it required too much finesse to send missing nin. Ah, Mr. Ju, Gato exclaimed, seeing him stepping out of midair. I was about to send a message for you. In a minute, Mr. Gato. I don't believe you have met my lovely mate, Ms. QB? Naruto said, Hinata smirking at the obvious code name. She and I were coming by to visit one of our many residences. Sadly my latest venture failed, and I must lay low for a while she recovers. Ah, I was going to ask you with some help in the land of waves, but if you're otherwise occupied. Gato began. No, Ju, you can help him, it'll give me some time to train on my own. When you get back, I'll hopefully be able to surprise you, Hinata said, surprising Naruto right there. Ah, if you say so, he said dubiously. Wonderful. Gato chirped, let's talk in my office, shall we? Naruto nodded as the two walked down the halls of the corporation. The place was huge, from the outside it was about as large as the Hokage Tower, but it had miles of tunnels underground, used for various things. Gato's office was one of the deepest, with dozens of precautions, barriers, and seals. If somehow someone got through all of that, he could activate a seal on his desk, teleporting him to another one at his safe house, and flooding the room with gas while sealing the way out. So far he hadn't had to use it, but one can never be too careful. So, Mr. Gato, what seems to be the problem? Naruto asked. Well, Mr. Ju, recently I started a venture in the land of waves, taking control of its shipping and transport, in order to control it like the boss told me to do. There were a few rebels I had to put down, but now one of the major annoyances is building a bridge to shore, which would undo all the work I did there. I can't just claim he's a traitor or everyone will rebel, and I would have nobody left to work, but I can't let him finish the bridge. He's currently away, and I have hired the Mist Ninja Momochi Zabuza, the demon of the bloody mist, and the Oni brothers who work with him, but I'm not sure whether they are up to the challenge. Tazuna, the bridge builder, is smart, and might end up recruiting some shinobi to help him, and while Zabuza and the others are good, they can't face multiple Jonin at once. I wanted to ask you to help me out, take command of them over there and make sure to kill the builder and his family, surreptitiously. Any ninja too. Ah, I understand, Mr. Gato. I can do that, but what about the bridge? Naruto asked. I can bring my own resources in to finish it, and put a tax on materials over it. That way the country won't bleed dry and yet still will provide me with money. If you do help, I need the man taken out when he's nearly finished it so we don't have to spend too much finishing the bridge. Gato explained, so, are you up to it? Naruto snorted, what do you take me for, a genin? I've got this one, though it depends on the ninja he gets with him. If it seems to be too much of a hassle I might just have to kill him and get out. I don't have any desire to fight Kiri or Kumo, though the other villages would be fine. Gato nodded, that's fine. So, we have a deal? Naruto nodded finally, we have a deal. They shook hands, Naruto cloaking his disgust at the flabby hands and weak grip, and walked out. I'll send a messenger to the usual spot once I'm done. He called over his shoulder, just wire my payment to my usual account. Then he was around the corridor, away from the small man with much too big dreams. After stopping by Hinata's home, a mansion they maintained under Gato's company, Naruto headed off to Wave. Gato had given him instructions to Zabuza's location and what to do once the job was complete. As expected he was going to exterminate Zabuza and his allies to prevent having to pay them. Naruto, however, had a different plan. One Kamui later, he was standing outside the treehouse like construct Zabuza called home temporarily. Oi, Zabuza, get down here, he yelled up, got something to talk with you about. He had to stifle a giggle as Zabuza appeared at the edge of the house, glaring down at him with his fierce eyes. This guy is known as a demon? Really? He wouldn't even count as a baby imp. What'd you want, Gaki? Zabuza yelled back, besides to die? Gato sent me, Naruto said from behind him. My name is Mr. Ju, and I'm here to take control of this operation. Zabuza spun around, freezing at the sight of the katana at his throat. That's a blood-bound blade. How do you have it? He asked, stunned at the power he sensed from it. None of your business. Anyway, I've been put in charge of this operation. If you have a problem with working for a kid, I can kick your ass, or you can just accept it and we can move on, Naruto said, sheathing his blade as it returned to katana form. Hell yes I do. Why the fuck would that short asshole put you in charge of someone like me? Zabuza said angrily, I've got more combat experience and skill in one hand than you do in your entire body. Naruto's eyes narrowed as he let out a burst of killing intent, forcing Zabuza to his knees. Listen up you browless freak. I don't care whether you don't like me. I don't care whether you think you're better or stronger than me. You will listen to me and obey my orders. Or, I can beat the shit out of you and send you to hell. I have more power in one hair than the entire population of Kiri. I am the Jubi, the king of the Biju and demon god. You will listen to my orders or I will obliterate you, your friends, your family, and anyone you've ever met or that has the slightest connection to you. Understand? He removed the key, allowing Zabuza to speak. Why yes, Jubi-sama. He spoke, eyes wide at the power of this apparent brat, who actually was a fucking god. Good. I would have hated to have to kill you. It's very rare that I find someone with a true warrior mentality, Naruto said, holding a hand out to help Zabuza to his feet, and my orders are simple. Do nothing. I will take care of this, and you will get your money for doing nothing. Because I'm being nice, and I like you, I'll even let you live after this is done, rather than killing you so long as you never tell anyone who I am. If you do, I'll take my price out of your flesh, resurrect you, and kill you again slowly. Deal? Zabuza blinked at the cheerful tone he was using with the topic, deal. He said, nonplussed, what do we do while you're doing all this? I don't know, you can learn to fucking tap dance for all I care. Just stay out of my way and we're all good, Naruto said bluntly. Now, go tell your buddies. And tell the guy behind me to point his senbon somewhere else or I'll gut him like a fish. Haku, who had been hiding in a tree, ready to act, suddenly felt a poke on his back, and turned to see a shadow clone holding a meat hook. Boo! With his message delivered, Naruto vanished into the Kamui, his clone dispelling quickly after. Zabuza-sama, what do we do? Haku asked hesitantly. We do as he says. Zabuza replied, wiping his forehead, just being near him was a hell in and of itself. I don't want to know what he can do if he's actually trying. Haku nodded, should I attempt to follow him? No. Zabuza yelled, don't do anything, I would prefer to live. I don't want to piss him off. Understand? Yes sir. Zabuza then turned, heading inside to tell the Oni brothers of the change in plans, finding them in a locked room clutching weapons and nearly pissing themselves in fear of the chakra they had sensed. Time skip. 3 days. Naruto watched through the Kamui as Tazuna and the worst possible team from Konoha escorted him down the road. Fuck my life, he moaned, of all the people, it had to be them. Reina and Kushina walked down the road on either side of Tazuna, both alert and scanning the area for danger. He wasn't at any risk of being sensed, he was mostly in another dimension after all, but still. Apparently the Hokage didn't give them more members, instead turning Team 7 into an apprenticeship. Well, it wouldn't matter in the long run. Naruto solidified, leaving the Kamui realm to observe them in person, and was surprised when they suddenly froze, Reina hurling a kunai at him. Quickly he went intangible, his illusion rippling as surprise caused a momentary lapse in concentration. It still was intact, but the ripple had given the jutsu away. Who are you and what do you want? Kushina demanded, how did you appear there? Oh my, I didn't know either of you was that precise of a sensor. Naruto mused, I'll have to add that. Anyway, my name is Mr. Jubi, and I was merely investigating the ninja Tazuna hired to assess you. Tazuna stiffened at the name, Mr. Jubi, and all three ninja noticed it. What is it Tazuna-san? Kushina asked, does the name mean anything to you? Yes, Mr. Jubi, he works for the Gado Corporation, and is presumed to be their head assassin and mercenary for the company. He's said to be on par with a Kage or more and has never failed a job, Tazuna said, paling. Ah, I see you've been keeping up with the scuttlebutt, yes that is me. Nice to meet you, Uzumaki Namikaze Kushina and your daughter Uzumaki Namikaze Reina. I heard your son had returned to Konoha, any idea where he is? Naruto asked, smiling mockingly. Both of the ninjas stiffened, an enraged expression appearing on Reina's face. What do you know of my brother? She growled, tell me. Oh, not much. I saw him a while ago, on a business trip. He taught me some of his skills in return for the blade he's so proud of, the twin of mine, Naruto said, smiling. I won't be using it though, you're not good enough for that. As he said that, he backflipped over a set of chakra chains his mother had sent sneaking around behind him, seeing them clearly with his illusion-covered Rinnegan. Tisk tisk, it's considered rude to attack someone while they're trying to speak, he said, standing on the side of the tree. Whatever, bastard, you're coming with us, willingly or not. Reina yelled, closing her eyes for a moment. Naruto waited, knowing what she was trying to do as his mother's chakra chains returned to her. What is this? Reina said after a moment. I can't feel the Kyuubi's chakra. Naruto chuckled softly. What did you do to my daughter? Kushina yelled, drawing her blood-bound sword. How are you suppressing the Kyuubi's chakra? Oh no, I'm not doing anything myself. The Kyuubi is. It knows exactly how a fight between me and it would turn out. Anyway, I didn't come here to fight, I was merely warning you. Tazuna, if you want to live longer, you'll take your family and leave Wave to rot. Otherwise, I can't guarantee your safety. As for you two, he said, turning to the two redheads, train harder. You can't even match me at this level, let alone your brother at full strength. He'd destroy you in seconds. Now, please excuse me, I have dinner to make. I'll be back in a few weeks, if you're smart you'll heed my warning. With that, he vanished into a kamui, laughing. Time skip. 2 weeks. The bridge was nearly complete, only another week or so was needed to finish it, and it was time for Mr. Jubi to strike. Tazuna had ignored his warning, and so would pay the price. Fools will be fools. Naruto sighed, time to go. He activated the Meisakagore no Jutsu, the art of invisibility, appearing on the bridge, visible as a faint shimmer. He quickly put his hands together, calling mist to him, simulating the Kirigakure no Jutsu with a real mist, before dispelling the invisibility. Tazuna, I had warned you before about continuing this bridge. You didn't listen to me. Now you pay the price. His voice rang out. Suddenly, the ground buckled around him, as chakra chains reached up, circling him and, supposedly, cutting off his chakra. I don't think so. Kushina said triumphantly, hiding in the ground with an earth jutsu. Now we're going to have a little talk. Nicely or not. Sorry, I don't have any time to talk. Maybe later. Naruto said, the captured clone vanishing as screams rang out all around them. When the fog faded, Kushina and Reina faced a scene of carnage. All of the workers had been massacred, and Tazuna was crucified to one of the supports with long nails, his chest cut open, letting his guts spill out, his intestines trailing in the water like a gory fishing line. A message was painted next to him in blood. By the way, your son says hello. Kushina screamed with rage, her chakra flaring violently as Reina hurled over the side of the bridge, disgusted at the brutality and smell. Come on Reina, we have to contact some teams from Konoha. This Jubi guy is our only lead on Naruto, and I intend to track him down. She spat angrily, if he knows where Naruto is, I will recover my son willingly or not. With that, she blasted the bodies with Kaden Jutsu and left with Reina following, having no time to do more. At Zabuza's place, a clone of Haku was waiting for the child assassin. Zabuza-sama said he had to go. He told me to tell you that he won't reveal anything about you, and would like you to potentially help him in the future, for money of course. Do you want me to take a message to him? The clone asked the boy. No, I will have his money wired to the account Gato was told, Naruto said. Remind him if he does speak of me, I will know. Goodbye now. The shadow clone dispelled, making Naruto wonder where the ice girl had learned a Konoha Kenjutsu. Probably off some missing nin. Whatever. He dispelled his thoughts with a wave of his hand, Kamui. 2 days later, the boy was at the supermarket of all things, buying instant ramen. He looked like the normal Jubi illusion, black long hair and sea-green eyes, with a slender body and angular face. After loading about 50 cups in his cart, he bought it and headed out, only to have it be destroyed by a blast of fire. Quote. His face slowly twisted into an expression of cold rage, someone's going to die. He muttered, eyes blazing under his illusion, WHO did that? On a roof nearby, Shikamaru watched through binoculars, didn't work, you just hit his ramen. And I think you pissed him off. Team Asuma, the Ino Shika Cho trio had been contacted by Kushina and Reina to find and capture this Mr. Jubi, after tracing him to the town of Tanzaku Gai, with Team Gai waiting as backup. Get out of there sensei. Shikamaru shouted, seeing Ju stare right where his sensei was hidden. So you like fire? Amaterasu. Naruto shouted, nearly hitting the younger Sarutobi with the black flames, you killed my ramen. Die. He charged, swinging a katana at Asuma, which changed mid-swing into a broadsword. Asuma attempted to block with his trench knives, but it phased through them and his hand. Bye-bye arm. Naruto said in a sickly sweet voice, Katsu. Asuma's arm exploded in a blast of gore as his chakra network in that arm blew apart, severing it at the shoulder. RRRGH. Guy, get in there now. Shikamaru yelled, attempting to catch Naruto in his shadow possession. Asuma, retreat. As Asuma jumped away, one hand clenched over his bloody shoulder and missing arm. A green blur slammed into Naruto, throwing him backwards into the store. God damn it, Naruto yelled, fucking Konoha bastards again. Die. Art of demonic summoning, Hellgate. Come forth, Astaroth, Lord of Hellfire. The young god slammed his hands on the ground, a giant gold and black gate rising into the air, easily twice the size of Orochimaru's Rashomon. It vaguely resembled the Rashomon, but its designs were more dark, and it crackled with black energy, the designs on it serving to instill fear into all who gazed upon it. Then, with a shuddering rumble, it opened, revealing a far more terrible sight. A figure easily 200 feet tall with a body of smoke and flame, and a head with spiraling horns, needle-sharp teeth and blue Rinnegan, the same as Naruto's, visible in its face. It held a whip of what looked like molten lead, crackling with black lightning, and a shield of dark gray smoke, solid as rock. As it roared, the very heavens shook in terror of the being summoned, the archdevil at the right hand of the Jubi, Astaroth, pit lord of hellfire and commander of the armies of hell. Astaroth, attack these pests, for my ramen, Naruto yelled. Oh shit, get out of there now. Shikamaru yelled, abandoning any pretense of calmness. Now. Asuma and Guy managed to evade a few strokes from the molten whip, but Guy got too close to the demon, getting hit by its shield point blank. It hit him through 3 stone buildings and into a 4th, which collapsed on him. Asuma managed to evade, getting back to Shikamaru as the demon began to smash things. I'm calling it off. This mission is a failure. We don't stand a chance against that thing. Ino, Choji, Shikamaru, retreat. What about you, sensei? Ino asked from her position next to Shikamaru. What are you going to do? I'm going to do my duty, as a Konoha shinobi and guardian of the land of fire. Now run, Guy, and I can do this. Asuma yelled as Ino's medical jutsu sealed the bleeding on his arm. Get Guy's team to retreat too, whatever you have to do. Get back to the Hokage and tell him of this. Understood, sensei. Shikamaru said softly, turning around to run. Ino, Choji, you go straight to Konoha, no stopping. I'll get Guy's team. Go. The 3 took off, leaving Asuma alone with his knives as Guy appeared beside him, bleeding in a few places. That creature is extremely unyouthful, he said. Its strength is nothing to laugh at though. Guy, I can't order you to do this, but as a friend I ask you, please help me at full power, Asuma said grimly. We'll need it. Guy slowly nodded. 8 gates. Release. Gate of Death. A red aura engulfed him as all 8 gates released at once, flooding him with chakra. 8 divine gates formation. I'll slow him down, you strike the final blow, Asuma said, grimacing. Agreed, my youthful friend. If you survive, tell Lee to look under my futon. I left my final instructions there, Guy said, smiling sadly, and tell Kakashi I am sorry but our youthful contests must end. Well, as much as I hate to interrupt this touching conversation, I have to interfere, a voice rang out, as Naruto walked up to them. Diva Path. Gravity immobilization. Both Asuma and Guy were forced to the ground. Even the 8 gates couldn't block the gravity power Naruto was using. You have impressed me with your determination, though. You won't die today, even though you destroyed my ramen. Naruto said, kneeling over Guy. Demon art. Soul manipulation. 8 gates sealing formation. His fingers blurred over Guy's body, hitting each gate in backwards order and forcing Yukai into them, reversing the flow of power. Guy cried out as the power of the 8 gates was forcibly reversed, resealing them without lowering the power level he was at. What are you doing? I am saving your life, Maida Guy. You have too much potential to die here. Live on, get stronger, and face me when you are ready. Naruto said, you are one of the few Konoha shinobi I do respect, and for it I will let you live. It was true. Guy had impressed the young Jubi with his resolution and willingness to die for his comrades. Admittedly, it was also self-serving. He wanted to see how the villagers would react to the new Guy, but he did like the man. He was funny, and Naruto thought it would be amusing to see what he would do with the new power. Plus, Guy was one of the few Konoha shinobi that had protected him before he left Konoha. He had beaten up easily a dozen mobs, making him one of the people on the "do not kill unless absolutely necessary" list. I have sealed your gates, but your power was already released. It will slowly drain away, some merging with your chakra network, the rest leaving you. When it's done, you should be about 1.5 times as powerful as normal. You can reopen all 8 gates, but that time you will die. Also, I spare you to take a message to your Hokage. Tell him that if he leaves me alone, I will do the same for him and your village for now. It's only business, you know. 3 times now I have had perfect opportunities to kill your shinobi, but I haven't done it any of those times, since there was no money in it. The 4th time I will not hold back, Naruto warned, now sleep. His eyes spun under the illusion, forcing Guy to sleep as he released the gravity on him. Now, Sarutobi Asuma, I also spare. In fact, I even give you your arm back. Naruto placed his hand on Asuma's stump, feeding nature energy in slowly, regenerating the arm from nothing, admittedly causing the shinobi extreme pain. I spare only because of Shikamaru. I was given a message for him, from the yellow-haired boy. Tell him to go to training ground 27 3 days from now, alone, to meet the one who gave me this message. If he wants to bring others, he can, it won't matter. He has an offer for him. Now, sleep. With that, he got up from the sleeping shinobi, warping them to the Hokage's office with his Kamui. Astaroth, you are dismissed. Thank you for your help. The demon lord pouted. Yes, pouted. But master, I didn't get to kill anything. Next time Astaroth, I promise, Naruto chuckled, for now I need you to go. Yes Jubi Dono. Till next time. The demon and door vanished in a giant plume of smoke. Well now, time to go find Jiraiya and Tsunade. Naruto mumbled, vanishing into his Kamui before any shinobi arrived. Minato was understandably surprised when 2 beat-up shinobi appeared in his office out of a wormhole. Both were unconscious, and didn't wake on the way to the hospital. Guy actually sucking his thumb and mumbling about something youthful. His red skin letting off extreme heat, hissing when something touched it as though it was burning it. 2 hours later, both woke up at the same time. Hokage-sama. After Minato calmed them down, he asked what had happened, getting a tale of demon lords and godly powers, and the man's unhealthy obsession with ramen. So let me get this straight. He said slowly, after my wife and daughter contacted you and Guy, you left without permission, tracked a dangerous missing nin, set a trap for the man and failed, incinerating his ramen. He then used the Amaterasu, which are only usable with a Mangekyo Sharingan, then used an unknown summoning that he referred to as Astaroth, and effectively wiped the floor with you, before saving your lives and sending you back here with a message. And you didn't so much as lay a finger on him. Asuma scratched the back of his head, Yes. We were completely beaten. If he had wanted to he could have killed us and left the town a crater. He also told me to tell Shikamaru that someone he called, the yellow-haired boy, wanted to meet him at training ground 27 in 3 days, to make a deal. I don't know who he means, though. Minato's eyes widened at that. Anbu. He yelled, 2 agents appearing beside him. Yes Hokage-sama? They said in perfect unison. Contact Shikaku and Shikamaru of the Nara clan, and tell them I want them in my office ASAP. Go, Minato said angrily. As the 2 vanished, Asuma and Guy looked hopefully at Minato. Hokage-sama, what happened to the rest of our teams? I assume from the way Shikamaru is here that they arrived safely? Asuma asked questioningly. Yes, they are alive. They arrived about an hour before you 2 woke up. Asuma, your team was actually carried by Guy's team, since they were faster and stronger physically. I had to actually use the Anbu to keep them from attempting to wake you up. They should be resting at their respective homes, though I have no doubt that we'll find them right outside the hospital, Minato said, rolling his eyes. Thank you Hokage-sama, Guy said. Now, I need to talk to Shikamaru and his father, get some rest. I hope you understand I will have to punish you for leaving without orders, though if this goes well the most that will happen will be a few weeks of no missions, Minato said. Turning, now get some rest. We'll need all active ninja if what I'm planning is to work. With that, he left the hospital, teleporting to a Hiraishin tag in his office. As he flashed in, literally not 2 seconds later, the Anbu he had sent for the Naris arrived, the 2 in tow. Ah, Shikamaru, Shikaku. Before we start, what I'm about to tell you is an S-ranked secret, punishable by immediate execution, understand? Minato said, frowning. Both ninja nodded, all right then. Asuma had a message that Jubi gave for you. He said Naruto wanted to meet you, Shikamaru, in training ground 27 alone in 3 days. You two are here to help me formulate a plan to capture him. As much as I don't want to do it, I have to capture him and bring him back into our ranks, by any means. He's able to teleport, using a wormhole, and has speed above guys along with ridiculous chakra reserves, easily equal to a 3 to 4-tailed beast. Now, let's get planning. As the three of them started planning, they missed the small warp in the air in the corner of the room vanish, the watcher leaving. Naruto opened his kamui into the property Hinata was at, to a scene of devastation. The house, a 2-story modest affair, something a moderately wealthy merchant would have, was behind him, and in front of him was the training ground it had. Originally it was a 3-mile stretch of rocks and some sparse vegetation, with a stream flowing through it. Now, it was a crater-scarred plain of bare rock, burn scars, impact marks, and corrupted areas caused by unrestrained yokai visible everywhere. The barrier around the area was intact, thankfully. Holy shit, he yelped as a ball of magma flew towards his head, phasing through it. Oh, Naruto-sama, I'm sorry, I didn't know it was you, Hinata said, coming out from behind a rock. 7 tails swaying behind her, I've been training heavily. Naruto looked around at the blasted landscape. I can see that, he said dryly. Do you know what the word, restraint, means? She grinned at him, all signs of shyness gone. Restraint? Why would I use that when training? Point. He acknowledged, good thing I put in a time regression seal. He sighed, moving out of the barrier with Hinata. As he flew through hand signs, several of which were demonic rather than ninjan, and spoke, demonic barrier art. Rebirth of Gaia. He shouted, infusing equal amounts of yokai, nature energy, and chakra into the jutsu, focusing it on the barrier. As Hinata watched, amazed, the landscape flickered, then started changing, moving in reverse as rocks flew back together. Trees flew from their positions on the ground back into place and the stream reversed flow until the energy was spent, revealing a fully restored training ground. Anyway, Naruto drawled, how in hell do you have 7 tails now? You were at 4. Hinata smiled. I used shadow clones to train, using 2,000 each day to train. I mastered the basic elements in 2 weeks, then worked on the secondaries as the 6th tail started forming. Once I finished lava and ice releases, my 6th was grown, about 3 weeks ago, and then I started working on those seraphic jutsu you gave me to learn, and by the time I was done my 7th had finished, she explained, causing Naruto to grin widely. So you figured it out, he said proudly. Shadow clones transfer experience, as you obviously know, so using them to increase the speed of your tail's growth works too. She nodded happily, tails waving behind her. It was at that point he noticed something strange. His tails were all black but changed colors based on any strong emotional surges, as he was a demon god, and since he had pumped his energy into her he expected her tails to either be black, denoting a demonic alignment, or gold, denoting a seraphic alignment due to his being a god. Instead, she had 4 gold and 3 black, a strange combination to be sure. I'll have to consider this. It might be worth giving her some divine-style jutsu, if she's got a both seraphic and demonic alignment. I wonder if she'll gain more than 9 tails, he thought. So, Haim, how's your training in Fuinjutsu going? Naruto asked, interested. It's going really well. I managed to create my first warp seal 2 days ago. Hinata said happily, I based it off of the Hirishin, but instead of warping you to the seal it creates an area of 1,000 feet in all directions, within which you can warp at will. It's really good because you don't need to teleport to one specific spot, you can move around within the area. It was really annoying making the blood link though, since I had to find a way to use chakra. I never considered how not having blood would affect it, so I had to include a conversion seal and a filter. Naruto smiled widely, impressive. Anyway, I came here to see how you were doing and to ask a favor. What do you need? Hinata said, going all serious. In a few days I'm going to be going to Konoha, to attempt to meet with Shikamaru, since he's the only one I actually like among the Leaf Bastards, but I know they'll try to capture me. I need you to not interfere. I will be playing along with them until I locate my target, the Uzumaki Death Reaper mask, the mask of the Shinigami. I wanted to tell you to stay here, no matter what. If I need your help, I'll contact you with mind speech, okay? He said. Hinata frowned, I don't like it. What if they try to seal you? They could use the Reaper Death Seal on you. Naruto grinned happily. That's the beauty of it, as the lord of demons and a god, the Shinigami can't touch me. If he does, it would instead result in him getting sealed in ME. Please Haim, just promise me. Hinata scowled. Hide Taiyoukai-sama, she grumbled, looking away. Naruto smiled, putting a finger under her chin and turning her head to meet his eyes. I'll make you a bet. If you haven't unlocked your 9th tail by the time I get back, I'll train you myself to get it. If you have gotten it, I'll reward you. She blushed red, nodding. Hi. That settled, Naruto turned away. I need to go then Haim. I have someone I need to pay. With that, he warped away in a Kamui. Hinata stood silently for a second, then said, be safe. My love. 3 days after his meeting with Hinata, Naruto was at the training ground 27, using the Masakagore no Jutsu. He had no weapons on him, or any other incriminating things, nothing to match him to his Ju-Bi persona. As the sun rose, he stood still as a statue, arms crossed, demonic aspects hidden, and Rinnegan shape shifted away temporarily. It was currently about half an hour from sunrise, and he was bored. As much as he wanted to locate the mask, he needed it to be in a way that wouldn't cause them to lock it down. It was one of the Leaf Village's treasures, and in the case of an enemy attack would be locked down with time-space seals. Therefore the objective was twofold: get into the village by any means necessary, get the mask without them knowing and locking it down, then get out, giving no quarter to anyone in his way. About half an hour after sunrise, Naruto heard a rustle in most of the bushes and trees around the training ground, his sensory abilities locating each person, regardless of how much they tried to cloak. Shikamaru was the only one not hiding his signature. He was standing in the middle of the ambush. Naruto removed his invisibility, walking straight forward into the ambush. His face showed amusement. When he reached Shikamaru, the other folded his arms. So you really did come. I was the one who set up the meeting through my friend. Of course I came, Naruto said dismissively, and you can all come out. I know where you all are. The surrounding foliage trembled for a second, then a ring of shinobi encircled them, mostly Anbu, with Jiraiya, a seal on his forehead, Kushina, Minato, Asuma, and Reina together. Naruto smiled benignly. I came to talk, not to fight. It's in your best interests to hear me out. Minato held up his hand, signaling his forces to step back. Talk then. Naruto shrugged. I want the Uzumaki Reaper death mask. I'm prepared to trade a pair of Rinnegan for it. That drew everyone's interest, both in his request and offer. We have no such thing, Minato said. And how the hell did you get a pair of Rinnegan? Why didn't you implant them? Naruto smiled again. No need to play the fool, Minato. I can sense its unique death energy from here. As for how I have a pair of Rinnegan, let's just say that I have a unique friend. And what's to stop us from taking you in them right now? Shikamaru said, eyes narrowed. Oh, not much. Just the fact that I don't have them with me at the moment, and if you attack me, you'll be declaring war on Kumogakure, Omegakure, and Kirigakure all at once. I'm sure you want to face 8 Biju plus their armies, Naruto said with a smile. Minato frowned. Bull. They wouldn't sick the Biju on us for capturing one shinobi. Naruto's grin widened. Of course they would. I'm the one that got them the Biju anyway. Even if Kumo didn't want to, the Biju would come alone. Reina glared at him. And just how did you do that? I call bull. Naruto closed his eyes, laughing hard. Oh little girl, you know nothing. You're a prisoner in a gilded cage, whereas I am outside of the shackles of this realm. You want to know why I am so confident? Why I command the respect of the Biju? Why Kurama will not attack me, no matter what you do? That's simple. Everyone put their hands on their weapons as he made a hand sign, Kai. With that, he dispelled the genjutsu over his eyes and the shape shifts over his body. He opened his blue and black Rinnegan. My name is Naruto Otsutsuki, Niodame Jubi, and 10-tailed demon god, lord of the Biju and the master of chakra. Nice to meet you, bitches. His 10 tails fanned out behind him, his horns elongating with his glowing eyes. All around him, the ninja had mostly gone pasty white, fear the dominant emotion in their eyes. Jiraiya was trying to imitate one of his toads, croaking and gasping, trying to get something out past the shock, and Minato was staring at him like he had hit a gold mine. Reina was on the ground in a ball, the seal shining through her clothes due to his proximity, and Kushina was standing there, hand over her mouth, eyes shining with tears. How? Jiraiya finally shouted, "How do you have the Rinnegan? How are you the Juubi?" Naruto shook his head, "You don't need to know. Actually, I'm surprised at you, Jiraiya. I thought you had left the village." Jiraiya nodded, "They put this on me." He gestured to the seal. "I can't go against them consciously, but unless I am given an order I have free will." "I'm sorry." Naruto raised an eyebrow. "Don't worry, later I'll make sure to remove it. Now, will you make the trade with me or will we part ways?" Minato shook his head, "We can't let you leave now. Luckily I had this set up for if Kyuubi ever got free." He lunged forward, hand glowing, hitting Naruto on the chest. Fuin. Reina's seal glowed even more, as Naruto looked at him, disgusted. "You've just tried to kill your daughter." With that, he vanished into the seal. Inside Reina's mindscape, she stood there, staring at the gate and seal. Behind it was the Kyuubi, trembling and bowing in terror of the other creature. It looked vaguely humanoid, with white hide and black hair. It had 10 horns, ringing its head like a crown, and black hair. Its eyes were the same Rinnegan that Naruto had, and it had a pair of wings, one pitch-black demonic-looking bone wing and one white angelic-looking wing. Its arms were thick, with long claws, and its legs had talons on the end. It was approximately 7 feet tall, with 10 tails fanning out behind it, an aura of power radiating from it, strong enough to completely dwarf the Kyuubi's power. To compare the Kyuubi to it was to compare a drop of water to an ocean. "Disgusting," it said, shrinking down to Naruto's human form. "To think that your father would attempt to seal me in you, when he knew you couldn't withstand my power." He walked forward, past Kurama and outside of the seal, approaching Reina as the sewer-like mindscape started to crack, large ruptures forming on the walls and ceiling. The seal slowly started to crisp, as though it was under a magnifying glass. "Reina, I am going to be blunt to you. You are dying. Your body can't contain my power, and thus you will break down and die, your soul consigned to the void. Already you are starting to see the effects of it." He gestured to the cracks, "But I can save you. I have to ask you, will you trust me? I will save your life and soul, but you won't be fully human anymore. If I do, though, you will have to come with me. It's up to you." Reina looked at him, her blue eyes trembling with tears. "I will." "Oni-san." Naruto's eyes widened, "This is going to hurt. Be ready." With that, his power flared, causing the sewer to burst apart, the liquid chakra on the ground starting to rise as he pumped chakra into her. It covered her completely, filling the mindscape to the roof, then bursting it apart as it continued to flow. "Welcome, Reina, newest of the Biju," Naruto said, before she passed out. On the outside, less than 5 minutes had passed. Kushina was crying loudly. Jiraiya was fuming and raging, and Reina was on the ground, clenched around her seal. Then it happened. Her body started to glow, everyone looking over at her, as it changed. Naruto stood up, in her place. "Pathetic Minato. You would kill your own daughter, forcing her soul into oblivion to try to capture me. Luckily, she was smart enough to listen to me." Minato growled, making a hand sign. "Don't bother," Naruto said, "I removed your little seal." He turned to Kushina. "Your husband had put a failsafe seal on your daughter, one which functioned like the caged bird seal. When he activated it, it would have caused her extreme pain and paralysis until he released it. And if he wished, he could also kill her with it, transferring the Kyuubi to himself." Kushina's face filled with rage as she lunged at Minato, only to double up in pain as he activated her seal. Naruto roared in anger, moving forward, out of Reina's body, leaving her standing but passed out behind him. "Release the seal." "Now, not a chance, monster," Minato yelled, glaring at him. "You will obey or I will kill your mate. I had the Anbu put the seal on her too, since she was so close to you." At that, the temperature seemed to drop to little more than freezing. "Minato Namikaze, you are scum of the highest order. A manipulative, child-abusing, power-hungry bastard." Naruto turned to the rest. "If you don't want to die, leave now." Jiraiya and Shikamaru heeded his words, sensing the pure rage in his words as his aura bubbled up around him. "Now, Minato Namikaze, as Jubi and primordial god of destruction, I hereby strip you of your chakra, skills, and physical health, and grant you immortality. You will live forever to see everything you worked for fall apart, in agony from illness and wounds." Divine style. Punishment of heaven. A bolt of energy flew from his chest, striking Minato before he could move. Minato screamed in agony as his life force was forcibly stripped from him, his chakra, physical strength, and any shinobi knowledge left him. When it ended, he looked to be about 110, skin covered in sores and wounds, cataract-covered eyes staring in horror. As for the rest of you, tenpenchii. Naruto roared, nature obeying its master, turning on those who would attack its lord. It seemed the world had gone to war with itself, earthquakes, tornadoes, lightning, only in the training ground. Outside of it, nobody felt so much as a quiver from the destruction. Naruto, Minato, Kushina and Reina were protected, inside an invisible bubble of air, shielding them from the destruction of the Anbu. When it faded, the training ground looked more like a giant hole in the ground. Well, that felt good, Naruto said, turning to Kushina. Minato spoke, his voice old and quavery. What have you done? You've ruined everything. You're a monster. A demon. Naruto merely looked at him, not responding. Behind him, however, Kushina acted, stabbing him in the head with her blade. That's for putting the seals on me. She pulled it out, stabbing his heart, and that's for ruining our family. He fell over, slowly regenerating, his immortality not painless like Naruto's. Kushina turned to her son. I know I don't deserve it, but will you please remove the seals? Naruto raised an eyebrow, turning to her. I removed the seals from you right after he used them to hurt you. Kushina looked at him, confused. Why did you anyway? I would have thought you would leave them, to punish me. Naruto stepped forward, actually patting her on the back, comforting her. No. I read that old bastard's thoughts. The seal he had on you made you a slave to his will, but an unknowing one. You would go along with any idea he had, and think it was best. I don't blame you for this, I blame him. Kushina had frozen, the unexpected physical contact something she had never thought he would give her. As he patted her back, she burst into tears, as he whispered calming words to her, SSH, SSH. It'll be alright, he can't hurt you anymore. Then, Reina started screaming. Naruto and Kushina broke apart as a red aura covered her, bubbling out from the seal on her chest. The Kyuubi being forced out of her by the process Naruto had done to save her. What's happening to her? Kushina asked, worriedly, turning to Naruto. The Kyuubi is leaving her body. He said bluntly, when the old bastard tried to seal me in her, my power would have disintegrated her body, releasing me and killing her. To save both her and Kurama, I forced Yukai into her, changing her into a chakra construct like myself and the Biju, like Hinata. She should have about 7 tails worth of chakra, possibly up to 9 if she's lucky, once she finishes learning how to access it of course. Kushina looked stunned at that. But why is Kyuubi leaving her? She asked, not understanding. Kyuubi is an entity comprised entirely of chakra, as is she now. Her chakra is forcing his out, the seal breaking due to strain. You can't seal a Biju in another Biju after all. Kushina looked at him, wide-eyed. Then, she's a demon now? He shook his head. No. That's something you need to understand, the Biju aren't demons. The only one that is me, a demon god. The Biju are just masses of chakra given intelligence and formed thanks to the Rikudo Sennin, using about a quarter of my own power. That's why I control them, because they are in fact parts of me. But enough talk, look, he's almost fully out. As Naruto said that, Kurama's final tail emerged from the seal, and once again the Kyuubi was loose on the world. Kushina tensed at the sight, preparing to fight him, but Naruto held out his arm, blocking her. Don't. He approached Kurama. Kurama, welcome back to the mortal plane. Kurama bowed. Thank you, my lord. It has been so long since I was free in this plane. Naruto nodded. You are welcome. Now, we need to talk to you, without people attempting to attack you. Please take human form so we may go elsewhere. Kurama pouted, but shrank, energy coalescing in a man, about 6 feet 4 inches with pale skin and red slitted eyes, small horns like Naruto's and long black hair. 9 red tails twisted behind him as he smiled, showing sharp teeth. Thank you, Kurama. Now, I think it is best we leave before others come. Naruto said, motioning him closer. Reina still unconscious, Kamui. They all warped out as ninja, led by Shikamaru, and Jiraiya appeared, his seal removed due to Naruto stripping Minato of his skills. All they found was the old man, trying to stand with a slowly healing hole in his chest. Naruto and his family, plus Kurama, emerged at the place Hinata was staying. In fact, they warped right in front of her, startling her into attacking, a wave of lava shooting towards them. Naruto stopped it with a blast of freezing air. Hinata-hime, stop that please. Hinata blushed. Sorry, Naruto Koichi. Kurama eyed her with interest. You have 9 tails. He stated, looking at her gold and black tails. Yes I do, Kurama Dono. It is an honor. Hinata said, bowing. Then she saw the wide-eyed Kushina and passed out Reina, and shot towards them. Naruto blocked her attack. Stop. I brought them here to talk. Many new things have come to light. Hinata nodded, backing away instantly. Please, come inside. The group trekked inside, Naruto creating a round table and chairs to sit at, holes in the back for those who had tails, and a sofa to lay Reina on. Now, I don't want to bother retelling what happened so far, so I'm just going to give you the memories, Naruto said to Hinata. Kinjutsu. Memory copy. She staggered back, nearly knocking over her chair as the memory of the meeting was directly transferred to her mind. That asshole. Naruto shrugged. Anyway, I need to talk to all of you about what we're going to do now. Kushina, you aren't a ninja of Konoha, after you attacked the Hokage. Kurama obviously isn't, and Reina, Hinata and I are wanted as weapons now. That being said, I want to get you to come with me. Kurama nodded. I will follow you, Jubi Dono. Naruto sighed. I assume you won't follow any order to call me just Naruto? Kurama smiled. Correct. Naruto rolled his eyes. Anyway, Kushina. I sensed you have Yukai along with your normal chakra. She paled at that. How did you find out? Naruto looked at her deadpan. I'm a god. The god of demons. Do you really think you could hide demonic energy from me? Anyway, I wanted to offer you a special deal. I will change you into another Biju, and teach you to use the Yukai at full strength. But in return you have to stay with us. Reina will have to stay with us anyway for protection, at least until she can fully control the new power she has when she wakes up. So really what I'm saying, he took a deep breath, will you join me again, as a family? Ka-san? Kushina froze, eyes shining, before leaping at him. She threw her arms around Naruto's head and hugged him, tears streaming down her face. Yes. She yelled happily. Naruto froze at the unexpected contact, then hesitantly extended his arms, hugging her back slowly. Hinata smiled at the tableaus before her, having asked Naruto many times to give his mother a small chance. She may have hated the woman, but for Naruto's sake she wanted him to give her a second chance, a chance to live with a mother's love. He had lost his faith in them the day he left, but now was willing to give them a second chance, due to extraneous circumstances, and she was happy about it. Reina groaned, chakra flaring as she returned to consciousness. What hit me? Everyone crowded around the couch as she sat up. That would be my chakra. Naruto said, deadpan. He picked her up slowly, carrying her from the couch to outside, and created a bubble of energy. It was just in time, too. She cried out in pain, as 8 red tails shot from her, waving around wildly, chakra bubbling from her body, engulfing her completely. Naruto held up his hand, and like it was a beacon the chakra tails were drawn to it, attempting to pierce him and his hand with futility. Reina, enough, he roared, as the tails went slack. The chakra receded into her, and she fell to her knees, panting. I am sorry, she said quickly, the energy. Naruto stopped her from talking. I know. Don't worry, I understand what happened, and I'm not angry at you. That being said, I am putting a seal on 7 of your tails temporarily. A golden beam shot from Reina into Naruto as they watched, and Reina's new non-human features shrank, her wolf ears shrinking and her fangs becoming less pronounced. Now, I don't want to go through all the BS with telling you about what happened, so here, he made a few signs. Kinjutsu. Memory copy. Reina flinched as the memories flowed into her, then doubled over in tears, the shock of seeing her father's true plan making her unable to stop. Naruto let her keep crying for a while, before slowly picking her up and taking her inside, laying her on the couch. Sleep, he commanded, using the Jubi's innate command over other Biju to force her to sleep. She'll be fine, Naruto said to the concerned looks from Kushina and Kyuubi. She just needs to rest and recover from the shock of being changed. Until then, it's probably best if I hold off on explaining my past, so I don't have to repeat it. Now, I have a few plans for the future, but I don't know if you all will agree. Do any of you have any attachment or things you want to do in the elemental nations? Kushina frowned, confused. What do you mean? What are you planning? Naruto smiled widely. I'm planning on leaving this realm. I'd be taking the Biju with me, since they have to be on the same plane with me or they'll stop existing, but I'm going to let you choose whether you want to come or not. Kushina looked stunned. Hinata nodded, knowing of his plan beforehand, and Kurama merely shot him an appraising glance. The previous Jubi didn't ever tell them he could dimension hop. Either the sage discovered how or Naruto had figured out how to change dimensions. Either way, it was a gigantic discovery. I don't know. Kushina trailed off, looking for the words. No, I don't really have anything I need to do here, but leaving everything behind? Going to a whole nother world? Is that a good idea? Hinata was the one who answered. Good idea. No, but the longer we, meaning the Biju and Chakra constructs like us, stay on this world, the more corrupt it becomes. Taiyo-ukai-sama discovered that the immense power that other Biju besides himself and those he creates personally is evil in nature, or more accurately it is based in the darker side of emotions. Because of that, the Biju constantly cause those around them to become more and more corrupt, emotions changing and warping. So, we figured out the only ways to undo it would be either leave the world to one that can handle the stress and allow nature to slowly straighten it out without the source of the negative energy, or forcibly renew the energy of the world. But that would kill millions of people, since chakra is technically unnatural to this world. Kushina's eyes flashed back and forth between her and Naruto. Just what is between the two of you? She asked, her tone dark. First you talk about him like a lover, which I can honestly understand. But then you use terms like Taiyo-ukai, and it makes it seem like a master-slave relationship. She was cut off by a wave of ki from both Naruto and Hinata. Watch your mouth. Naruto growled. Even if you are my mother, if you insult my soulmate, I will destroy your very soul with my bare hands. We are lovers, but she is innately submissive, magnified by the dominance the Jubi has over tailed beasts. It's natural that she would be respectful in her responses. Kushina nodded quickly. She saw Naruto as her son, not the Jubi at first glance, and it made it easy to forget that he could wipe her out at a metaphysical level as well as physical. Then he would let that ungodly killing intent out, the level of which would scare even the Shinigami. Their conversation was interrupted by Reina groaning as she rubbed her eyes. Naruto sighed, walking over to her. How long were you awake? He asked, one eyebrow raised. He had forgotten about the magnification her healing factor would get, almost to his level. She had been recovered within about a minute, and presumably had woken up then too. Most of it, she said, not bothering to deny that she had heard what they were saying. I want to go. Reina, Kushina said, surprised, what about your friends? Reina turned to her mother, who was surprised to see bitter tears in her eyes. What friends? You know just as well as I do that most of them were just sucking up to me to be in with the Hokage's daughter. Plus, now they'll see me as a weapon, even more than before. If there's a chance I can get away from this stigma, I'll take it. Kushina closed her eyes, taking a deep breath. I know, she said, eyes still closed. I don't like the idea of leaving the nations. To be honest, I'm a little scared of what we might find, but I do get that it's the smartest move now. Naruto looked at Kurama, who merely shrugged and repeated, I will follow you, Jubi Dono. To the ends of the earth. Or beyond, as it may be. Naruto smiled, a true smile. The first that he had truly felt towards anyone besides Hinata. Then it's agreed. He said softly, the other Biju already knew what I had planned, and are marked with summoning seals. The only question is what kind of universe should we go to? Obviously the inhabitants' power isn't a factor since I embody a primordial, one of the powers that created the multiverse, but you can give some ideas. Cinnamon buns. Hinata stated, blushing even without her mask, they have to have cinnamon buns. Naruto looked at her, deadpan, before throwing his head back and laughing, alright, that's a start. He muttered, ramen too. They have to be about the same level in technology, or at a level that we can easily acquire knowledge of it. Kushina said, worried that they'd be unable to understand the new world. Naruto smiled in reassurance. I can just transfer memories from someone who understands technology, he said. How about one that still uses swords? Plus a chakra-like energy. No other primordials, though odds are they've already faded into oblivion. Oh, I know, dragons. I always wanted to see a living dragon that I didn't make with chakra. Plus demons. Add in yokai for the other Biju. A breathable atmosphere. Enough conflict that our skills won't be defunct entirely. And final qualifier. Humans as one of if not the primary species. Done. He bit his finger, before writing a list of the things they wanted in midair, his blood floating in words. A plus or minus preceding the factor identified if it had to be there or not. As a final thought, he added, plus as close to the elemental nations in molecular composition as possible. In order to not get a planet with a breathable atmosphere but no land, or humans that evolved to live on a lava-covered world. No, that would have been bad, not deadly but still plenty painful. With a snap, the blood shifted, the words merging together and stringing out into a giant circle, easily big enough to allow Kurama's full 200-plus yard high demon form through. Based size off the beginning parts of the novel, where the Konoha redwood-like trees barely come up to the top of his paws. Redwoods are approximately 100 to 150 feet tall when mature, sometimes more, so Kurama would easily be 1,000 feet or more, but I'm making him 600 so it doesn't get into so big I can squish a building with one step levels. Naruto then flashed through a dozen hand seals, slapping his hands on the ground and causing the other Biju to appear in a flash of smoke and light, outside their hosts through his power. It's time to leave, he said plainly. Nibby purred, about time. I want to get some exercise for once. The way she was eyeing Naruto caused Hinata to glare at the Nibby and flare all 9 tails, nonverbally saying, try to fuck with my man and I'll mutilate you, bitch. Nibby blanched, quickly going through the arch and vanishing into the other world, followed by the other Biju, then Kurama. Naruto waited for Hinata, and held her hands as he stepped through, Reina and Kushina following close on their heels. As soon as Reina's tail finished going through, the portal glowed with an eerie red light, before twisting in on itself, vanishing.
That's all for now. If you want to see next part, then please like this video and subscribe my channel. Thank you.